Oh, they beat them twice. That's right. Yeah, because Arlington's only loss was to Cascade. That's right. This wind is just messing with us right now. On a gorgeous Saturday night here from Everett Memorial Stadium. It is Women's Football Alliance time, and it is time for two Washington State schools to do battle. It is the Everett Reign versus the Tacoma Trauma. Steve Willits along with Mike Buckholtz, Todd Elvick getting on the air just in time for kickoff. We're going to turn to Mike Buckholtz here in a minute and get his keys to the game. But first, the kickoff team is out on the field and ready to go. Kicking off are the Reign to the Trauma. Ball fumbled at the 19-yard line, picked up, running down the right side, and finally brought down by a slew of tacklers at the 26. That was number 18, Kari Fetters. Mike Buckholtz, you've had a chance to watch the Reign already this year. Tell me what they need to do to get another victory tonight, which would be their 4th in 5 games.
One of the things I saw in the first game, first of all, is that Everett was much improved over what I saw last year. Defensively, the game that I saw against Portland, Everett did a really good job, but they wore down with a much stronger, bigger and stronger Portland team at the end of the game. But their front 7 up there did a really good job, and if they can snuff out the running game and force the 3rd and longs, I think Everett will be in good shape. So that's one of the first keys that I would say on defense.
Tacoma in shotgun formation, snap, dribbles back to the quarterback who has to fall on it immediately. Playing quarterback tonight, number 15, Katrina Guerrera. That's going to be a loss on the play back to the 24-yard line. We'll call it a 2nd and 14 coming up. And Tacoma, a team that has had trouble putting points on the board this year, they average 6.5 points per game. And Mike, if you are an offensive coordinator and your team is already struggling as is when the ball is going in your favor, you certainly don't want to see that on your first snap.
I know, and like I said, Keys is third and long, but 2nd and long is almost as good. So
Guerrera handing off the ball. This time met in the backfield is the running back as we wait to see who that is carrying. Those dark numbers on the gray jerseys from up here as we've got quite the angle here. It's a gorgeous night. That's going to be Sierra Lynch on the carry, number 13.
And Boomer Sarah Cooper on the tackle along with a couple of other players as well.
Should get a
flag down.
Favorable spot. They put it right back at the line of scrimmage. Let's see what the flag is. And it's going to go against Tacoma.
And that's declined. So it will be 3rd and long, which is one of the first keys. And I just noticed that the Everett defenders did do a better job of tackling, I thought, this year. Wrapping up and pulling down ball carriers and receivers.
Everett so far this year with a forfeit victory over the Utah Wildcats. They also have wins on the field against this Trauma team back on April 14th, a 22-0 victory. Guerrera pump fakes one way, throws it the other. The ball's picked off at the 30-yard line. Running, cutting back in towards the middle, and finally dragged down at the 15-yard line. That is Nicole Pelham with the interception, and all of a sudden, the Reign are in business here, and we're a minute 14 into the game.
And Nikki Pelham does a really good job playing in the secondary, and she read the quarterback's eyes perfectly, and great completion if you're Tacoma, but it was to the wrong team. Pelham right there, great field position.
Guerrera had the right idea. She had the look-off going, which I like to see from quarterbacks. Unfortunately, she looked into the direction of the opposite team, and that's going to put the Reign in business here. They're going to have spotted at the 16-yard line.
And Nikki Pelham, one of the running backs, and a newcomer this year, Chanel Siva, who's a Stanwood High School student playing the fullback position here in the I formation.
Brittany Wilson playing quarterback. Handoff goes to Pelham. Nikki looking for a little room to the right, cuts it back towards the middle. Gets on down to the 13-yard line. We'll call that a gain of 3 on the play.
The offensive line did a nice job against Portland, opening up some big running lanes for the running backs of Everett in the last game there. Small gain here, but they're going to stick an awful lot with the run and the occasional pass to last year's wide receivers as well, Noor Shankman being one.
Fullback right up the middle, and that is number 10, Chanel Siva, going up there, getting the, not quite there. She gets to the 7-yard line. Going to be short by about 2 yards, perhaps. Let's see where they spotted here.
It looks like it's
third. More like the 8-yard line.
Third and short. Part of our angle here, by short, it looks like maybe 1.5, 2 yards or so. Unless you like the metric system. Third and a meter to go here.
We like either or, right? Hey, whatever's the shortest distance, which I guess for the Reign would be either one. They want to get into that end zone more than anything right now. Shotgun formation. Wilson playing quarterback, receiver in motion. And we're going to get a sweep around the side here. That's Carr looking for room to the left. Amelia Carr getting dragged down along that left sideline.
Nice tackle by Tacoma as they made some good penetration and forced that play out and did not allow the cutback. But it looks like it's good enough for a first down.
12:15 to go. First quarter, no score. If you're just tuning in, Tacoma Trauma getting the opening kickoff. Third play of the game, throwing an interception to Nikki Pelham, who returned it to the 17-yard line. And now on their first drive of the game, the Reign with their first down gives them first and goal from the 4-yard line. Wilson under center, hands off up the middle. Fullback Siva pushing towards the goal line. A scrum going on right now. Tacoma getting the better end of that at the very end of it to prevent a touchdown. And it looks as though Siva might have gotten right inside the 1-yard line.
Kara Carson in there for Tacoma on the defensive front as she's playing one of the defensive tackles there, 285 pounds. Did a nice job of stuffing that run.
Possession here going into the 3rd minute of this drive.
Keep an eye on Amelia Carr. She is isolated over out on the right side one-on-one. So I haven't really seen Brittany Wilson play quarterback yet, so I'm not sure what her arm throwing ability is.
We're not going to see it yet. Pelham up the middle, lunging towards that end zone and getting thrown back. Nice job on the defensive side of things. Makisa Bush-Johnson, the linebacker, stepping up. 5'3", player from Tacoma, Washington, from Bates Technical College, making the stop there. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 1.
And I think you're going to go ahead and see Everett try to pound the ball up the middle.
So far, so good. Why would you go away from it at this point? We've seen how the throws work on the goal line, right? A few of us Super Bowl 49,
right.
I was going to say fans of Super Bowl 49, but really we weren't if you're a Seahawks fan. But nonetheless, if you got 2 tries from 3 feet out, why not try to punch it up there? And why not quarterback keep it? And they do so, and they get into the end zone. Touchdown, Everett Reign, Brittany Wilson. The pride of Mukilteo getting into the end zone, and we've got a 6-0 game.
And Brittany Wilson using the Russell Wilson quarterback keeper and following her center. Nice job of blocking, which was one of the things that I'd mentioned is down in the trenches. I really like the improvement that I saw from the Everett players the last game that I saw them, and went ahead and punched it in.
She's got the right number. She's got the right last name. Don't know if she quite has Russell's pedigree yet, but if she keeps that up and they continue to get this kind of success, who knows? 6-0 game, looking to make it 7-0 right now as Amelia Carr on to kick the point after. Apparently we have an errant football that got a little loose from the Reign sideline there, and they come in to retrieve that, so a quick timeout. 10:24 to go here, first quarter, on a gorgeous night from Everett Memorial Stadium. Snap is bobbled. Kick, I was going to say kick is up. It didn't even get off the ground. Point after attempt is no good, but nonetheless, Everett with an early 6-0 lead. And we're going to take a quick timeout. You are watching Everett Reign football on STSPN. welcome back one more time to Everett Memorial Stadium on a gorgeous Saturday night, Mother's Day weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there, and hopefully many of you who are maybe watching your daughters out here play for the Everett Reign are enjoying what you see so far. 4:36 into the ball game, Reign with the early 6-0 lead. And for the second time tonight, Ashley Simmons is on to kick off the football. This time she kicks it over to our right side, fielded at the 19-yard line. That's number 3, Mattel Walker. Walker with the only 3 touchdowns of the season for Tacoma so far. Only 4 touchdowns, I should say. 3 on offense, 1 on defense. She's not going to pick one up on special teams as she gets tackled down around the 32-yard line. Call it the 33.
She did make a good catch, though, as even just trying to catch the football in this swirling wind that's going on down there is somewhat of a chore.
Yeah, we're broadcasting outside. I didn't expect to have to deal with the elements tonight, and all of a sudden we get up here and our papers are blowing all over the place. And as nice as it looks out, there certainly is a wind kind of swirling around the stadium right now, which we'll continue to watch to see maybe it wreaks havoc on kicks as well as passes.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of baseball advertising, so I brought the duct tape along because I've sat down more than once and had everything scatter, and then I have to make things up.
Yeah, we don't want to make anything up tonight. Not at this point anyway. Right now we know who the players are, one of which isn't going into motion right now. That was Akeisha Dobin. They're going to give the ball to Lynch. Lynch finding a little room off the right side, enough for a first down and then some as she's finally dragged down, call it the 45-yard line, a gain of 12, and the Trauma have their first down of the game.
Tacoma being their own worst enemy on that first drive, and this time instead of attacking up the middle where Everett has been pretty strong, they were able to get around the corner there for the first down.
Lynch with her second carry of the game, the first one going for no gain. Averaging right around 4 yards per carry this year on the season so far.
I would maybe expect to see something similar to the wide side of the field here, if not this time, but soon.
One back set, going in motion is Brittany Campbell. Handoff going to Lynch, trying up the middle one more time, and Lynch powers ahead for another 2, maybe 3 yards.
And just like Marshawn Lynch got some yards after contact there and got hit right at the line of scrimmage and moved forward still for a couple of yards.
Yeah, we watched Lynch play against Everett last year, and she is definitely a tough player to bring down. That's just for sure. If you give her a little bit of momentum going forward, she's going to pick up just a yard or 2 on that alone. And just playing old school smash mouth football right there for a 3-yard gain.
Yeah, well, Shane Matson and Jennifer Reynolds there, the defensive tackles, had a hold of her, but she did fall forward for positive yards.
Guerrero looking to throw this time, momentarily bumps into Lynch, throws off to the right. Ball is picked off! Going down the sideline is Carr! Breaks through one tackler, cuts it back, still on her feet! To the 15! Nobody will catch Amelia Carr! Touchdown, Everett Reign!
2 passes, 2 interceptions, 1 to the 17, and now this one all the way to the house. Excellent read on the defense by Amelia Carr. Stepped right in the passing lane. And how about that cutback?
A very nice move. 2 cutbacks, really. The first one, a little spin move, and then she cut it back towards the middle of the field, finding nothing but green. Amelia with already 1 interception returned for a touchdown this year that we know of. We were just talking about looking at some of the stats. They haven't been quite updated, but I know she had at least 3 interceptions coming into this game. 1 for a pick 6. Give her another one there. Give the Everett Reign another score, 12-0 with 8:46 to go here in the first quarter.
And it looks like they're taking Carr out, maybe needing a breather, so they're probably going to go for 2 here.
Well, you missed the extra point last time, so you might be chasing that point back here. And, hey, why not? You've got a little room to spare right now. You've got house money to play with, and we'll see what they do. Wilson back under center, I formation. Siva right behind her, Pelham behind Siva. Pelham gets the handoff, spins off of one tackler, lunges towards the goal line, but will come up just a bit short. But Everett with a 12-0 lead here early on.
And it looks like she had a seam there to the right, but the Tacoma linebackers came over there and did a good job of wrapping her up and not letting her fall forward for positive yardage, so snuffing out that 2-point try.
And we will keep it right here as the Reign will once again get that kickoff team back onto the field. 3 kickoffs in less than 6 minutes. They're getting quite a workout out there.
They are. Now, because of my increasing older age and my eyesight, I just noticed that we have a number 80 down here with fluorescent pink number, and I would like to see a little more of that so I could more easily identify the players.
I don't think that is an age thing. I think that is just a fact that when you get those dark uniforms on dark numbers, They do not always work well when you're an announcer trying to figure out which players are which, especially when we're trying to wear sunglasses up here. We've got the sun beaming right into our eyes as we are sitting on the east side of the grandstands here. I'm not going to lie, though, Mike, after the spring we've had, I'll take a little sunshine.
I'll take a lot. Nice kick. Flounders around there. Look at that.
Simmons gets that ball to bounce around, finally picked up at the 12-yard line. Looking for some room to the right and finding it, trying to get to the sideline, cutting back, still on her feet. 40-yard line, ball is fumbled. Scramble for it. It appears as though the Trauma might have it. That was number 3, Mattel Walker on the return. A great return up until the fumble. And give a lot of credit right there to Forrest Larson for forcing that one out. And
Walker doing a nice job of using her off arm to fend defenders off and able to spin away, but by doing that, she got a little loose there with the football, fumbled the ball. Tacoma got it back, however. So,
well, Walker on the year, 7 catches, but 3 of those have gone for touchdowns. We already mentioned she has an interception return. She averages 22 yards per catch. So a team that struggles offensively, a team that's had 10 different players have at least 1 rush attempt this year. Certainly if you've got a playmaker like number 3, now that you're down by 12 even more so, you want to get the ball in her hands. You just want her to hold on to the ball at the end of the play. And fortunately for the Trauma, they got away with one there.
And she is over here on the right side, short side of the field. So keep an eye on her.
8:32 to go, first quarter. Campbell goes in motion, gets the handoff, met in the backfield, shakes off one tackler, looks for that sideline, doesn't find much room over there, and is finally brought down at the 37.
Stephanie Howard trying to slow her down there, did a nice job, didn't wrap her up, but certainly it could have been a bigger gain, allowed some of the other Everett defenders to come over and bring down the ball carrier.
Actually going to spot that right on the 47-ish? Yeah, we'll call it 47. 2-yard gain on the play when what looked like it was going to be a loss initially, so certainly give her a lot of credit on the carry there.
And there was that sweep left, so it's looking like they want to take their wing back and use the wing back on sweeps left and right.
Well, now we've got to see what kind of confidence Katrina Carrera has now. 2 throws, 2 interceptions. Do you at some point feel comfortable going back to her and letting her throw again? You might have to if it's 3rd and long. Up the middle there to midfield. Ball carrier lunges, and let's see who that is. I believe it's Lynch. It is. Sierra Lynch with yet another carry.
Well, obviously Tacoma's bread and butter. Lynch up the middle, and then the wing back able to run some sweeps here and there, and then they're trying to mix in the pass, and as you mentioned, that has not been going well for them, but they have a playmaker, as you mentioned, with Mattel Walker, so they're going to have to find a way to try to get her the ball, and she's playing a wide out position here.
3rd and 4 at midfield. Need to get right around the 46-yard line for the first. 4 receivers out on the field, 2 on each side. Lynch in the backfield. Guerrera under center, drops back, looking, throws out into the flat. Incomplete, and that's exactly what she was doing. She had Walker in her vision there, just couldn't quite get it to her, and that's going to bring up a 4th and 4, and that brings up a decision here for the Trauma.
It does, and Brent Flickinger back there on the defense and played it well, although Walker was behind her, but she did cut that passing lane, and I don't think there's much of a decision here. If you're trailing 12-0, you might as well go for it at this time.
Maybe not. They're going to drop Campbell back into punt formation here.
Well, I'm right again.
Hey, sometimes being right isn't always fun either, though. The punt is going to hit at the 26-yard line and bounces around a little bit. And, you know, Mike, I actually like this decision, as that ball might end up going inside the 10. It's going to stop right on the 10-yard line, a 40-yard kick. And you don't need to be chasing the points too much at this point yet, right? You don't want to give them the ball right at midfield after they've had short possessions or short fields. Well, really, short field one time. The other time was a pick 6. So perhaps you want to try to make the Reign go out there and earn a little bit of this as well.
Right, and Amelia Carr kind of got caught between, do I come up and try to catch it on the bounce and make a play, or am I a little bit nervous about turning the ball over here with a fumble, and she let it roll, and the ball rolled for another 20 yards. So down just at the 10-yard line.
So we'll see what the Reign can do on their second offensive possession of the game. Last time they only had to go 17 yards. This time a little bit further than that. They're at their own 10-yard line. Brittany Wilson once again in at the quarterback position. Siva in the backfield with her.
Siva's a high school wrestler, so she is used to the contact and certainly doesn't avoid it.
We're going to get a sweep around to the right side this time, looking for room. That's number 6, North Shankman. Shankman gets the sideline and so much more as she's finally pushed out past the 30-yard line. A gain of 20 yards on the play as North Shankman gets her first touch of the game, and a nice one at that.
And over on the far side, I didn't see the number of the wideout for Everett, but they missed a block and allowed the Tacoma defender into the backfield, and Shankman actually slowed down a little bit to decoy her a little bit and then turn on the jets and turn the corner.
A better block and she might still be running, right?
That's correct.
We'll see what they can do on this play here. 1st and 10 coming up from the 30, 6:09 to go first quarter.
And you got your papers out there. You better make sure you get that tape going.
I got the tape going. I got a paper clip and everything else. And
hard to announce when you're chasing papers all over.
Yeah, that's why I've got
two.
That's why I like these the headsets that we're wearing. We don't have to hold a microphone like back in the old 70s Monday Night Football days, right? There we go, run up the middle. Siva, the wrestler, getting room, bulldozing her way past midfield, staying on her feet, dragging a defender, and finally dragged down at the 43-yard line. A gain of 27 on the play for Chanel Siva. And all of a sudden, the Reign are back in business once again.
And the deep safety, Carrie Fetters, forced to make the tackle. She latched on to Siva, and Siva dragged her along for 5 or so, maybe more yards before she went down.
First time I've seen Siva get into the open like that. She's got a little bit of she's got another gear there, which is nice to have from a fullback like that.
Well, she does, and some of the players I was talking to before the Portland game, they were saying that wait till you see her play. She's inexperienced, but definitely going to be a factor.
Nikki Pelham rolling off of one tackler, getting past the 45, back to the line of scrimmage. 2nd and 10 coming up. We've yet to see a pass from the Reign. At this point, hey, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. But perhaps you want to give it a shot here eventually, right?
Perhaps, but they're still having some success. Tacoma played that well, and I think, like Tacoma, they're maybe trying to keep their offense in with, mixing it up, runs up the middle with a few sweeps here and there to try to extend the defense from sideline to sideline.
Brandy Wright in the backfield right now next to Wilson. Going in motion, taking the direct snap is number 85, getting some room on the left. Dragged down at the 41-yard line. That's Shania Holland, the tight end who we've had a chance to watch for a few different years now from Edmonds Woodway High School right down the road here in South Snohomish County. She gets her first carry of the game.
Now, I have the roster from the last game where Coach Russo gave me the roster that has some of their nicknames. In Holland, her nickname is the Baby Beast, and so it's always fun to have some cool little nicknames that you used out there, and she took the direct snap and gained a few yards there.
3rd and 7 coming up. If you have the word beast in your nickname and you play football, I'm looking to stay away from you at any rate. Let's see if we got another nickname here. This time it's 43. Brandy Ride on the carry. Nothing baby about her. She goes right up the middle and gets 2 yards. 4th and 5 coming up for the Reign.
And a lot of different players are getting opportunities to carry the ball here tonight as the Everett Reign are mixing that up and see if they can find somebody who can get their rhythm on those runs.
Yeah, and why not? The way it's going so far. We've seen 5 different players, I think, carry thus far, unofficially. As the official stat keeper is my head right now, which isn't necessarily a sure thing by any means.
But I do think that the interior of the Tacoma line pretty solid up there. That's a battle going on between the Everett offensive line and the Tacoma defensive line.
Got to get to the 34 for the first down. That's not going to do it. Was that a backwards pass? They're going to say, in fact, it was. Pelham picks it up, but she gets dragged down at the 47. That could have been a disaster there, Mike, on 4th down. Anytime you throw a pass and it goes backwards, it's a live ball, and anybody could have picked that one up.
I think one of the defenders came in and actually hit her arm just on the release there, which caused the ball to go backwards, so they have turned it over. And if they would, it's kind of hard to tell where the wind is. It's somewhat coming from the southwest into our face, so they may have been punting into the wind, whereas Tacoma has the wind. And just 2:59 left in the quarter, and obviously they change ends, so Everett will be going with the wind, and it's 12 zip against the wind, so that's favorable for the Everett Reign.
So we will see what Tacoma can do. As you mentioned, 3 more minutes to go here with this particular side of the field. It hasn't done them any good so far. They've been able to get across the 50 on 2 different occasions. Of course, the first time they threw the pick 6, the second time elected to punt on 4th and 5.
I think that they're going to basically trying to keep at various times getting the ball to Walker, even if they have to force it to her. As she split out here on the wide side.
Wide right. They're looking for right now. No, they're going to throw it into the flat. Over the shoulder of number 42, Brittany Campbell, and a bit too far was Guerrera's throw. It's going to be 2nd and 10.
And I think Walker, Walker a little bit frustrated as she had a good 3 or 4 yards behind the receiver, but Guerrera just unable to get it to her. That's a long ways out there.
Walker a little bit late to get back into the huddle as she ran towards the coaching staff on her way back in, perhaps either making a suggestion for a play or being given the play to take into the huddle. And let's see if they're going to call her number on this particular play with 2:54 remaining in the first quarter.
It's been my experience that when people do that, the suggestion is, give me the ball.
Michael Irvin used to say that, but with a few extra words in there, I think.
Well, possibly.
Lynch up the middle, doesn't get touched for the first 4 yards, and then stumbles forward, spins her way across the 45, and right around the 44. We're going to be about a yard short of a first down as 3rd down is coming up.
Well, one of the keys for Everett, again, as it is, I think, for most football teams, is to try to keep your opponent in that 3rd and long. And when the majority of your offense is based on running, now with Walker coming out of the game, you're going to be certain. Walker looks like she needs some Gatorade there, as it's kind of hot out there.
Yeah, especially since we're talking about a day where if you're living in the Pacific Northwest, you're not quite acclimated to this yet. Haven't seen a lot of sunshine, and certainly not these temperatures at this stage of the year so far, and a 6 o'clock start time at that.
It's a 68-degree scorcher in the Northwest here.
Yeah, right. Lynch sweeping outside, looking for room and not finding it. Stepping in to make the tackle there is number 43, Brandy Ride from Marysville, Washington. She's going to throw her back for a loss. That will bring up 4th down, and once again, Tacoma has a decision to make.
Right, and the linebacker Stephanie Howard also in there helping to extend that play out, spread it out, as Ride was able to get the angle and come in and make the tackle.
4th and 2 shown on the board here. The marker looks like it might be just a little bit before the 43-yard line, so perhaps a short 2 at that. Let's see what Tacoma can draw up here. Their first 4th down attempt of the game. The other time they saw a 4th down, they ended up electing to kick, and that worked out fairly well. They got a 40-yard roller out of that. This time they're going to go for it. Handoff up the middle. First down and more. Down past the 40-yard line. Nice job by number 5, Sarah Montjoy. Montjoy had 1 carry on the entire season for 0 yardage coming into the game. Got a lot more than that there. She gets 5 and moves the chains.
And Amelia Carr, coming up from her safety position, had to make that tackle. She and Nora Shankman do a pretty good job, really sort of a veteran presence as back there in the safety position.
Clock now showing under a minute to go, first quarter. Tacoma Trauma trailing 12-0 and driving right now. 3rd time they've been past the 50-yard line in this game. Guerrera under center. Showing blitz is Everett. Are we going to get a flag? We are. They're going to be offsides. Free play for the Trauma. Throwing it over the middle, incomplete. And Tacoma just getting a little bit too aggressive there as they smelled blood. They wanted the quarterback. They wanted Guerrera and got a little bit too eager.
Well, you get that happy feet and you come up and just a little bit like you dancing. I've seen you there on the dance, and you get up there and you got those happy feet going and over the line.
Usually if I'm dancing, it's in the privacy of my house. So now you got me a little bit worried there, Mike. But
I'd be worried if I were you.
My happy feet don't do me very much good, but they don't give me 5-yard penalties, so I'll give myself a little bit of credit.
The key to this whole thing is that I got you to admit that you are dancing.
Oh, absolutely. It's Tom Cruise back in, what was the movie?
Okay, now I'm worried.
Risky Business, right? Where
yeah.
First down and 5 right now from the 35. We get back to football talk. We're better at that. Out into the flat, ball is dropped. They had the right idea there. That was Akeisha Dobin, the intended receiver.
Stephanie Howard out there on the defense. Bit of a break for Everett because the receiver was open and had an opportunity to make the catch and put some additional yards on the board there, but overthrown.
I like the play call. I mean, you get
Sure.
a player out there in the open. You have the right idea. She certainly would have picked up a lot of yardage if was she able to come down with that. It just didn't quite work out, and certainly you seem to have the defense deceived there a little too, as Jobin was able to find some space. Let's see what they do on this particular play. 2nd and 5. 2 receivers out to each side. Dobin going in motion. Guerrera hands the ball up the middle. Lynch looking for room and finding nothing. Getting packed to the line of scrimmage, might have picked up a yard, but she was swung down relatively quickly at that time.
And Will Roddy came over, or is it Rhodey, and just lowered the boom on Lynch.
Yeah, and give a big assist to Regina Buckmiller, who got her low and kind of swung her around, and then Rhodey came over and finished her off. The two of them working very nicely together on that play. We've got 8 seconds showing on the clock, so got a feeling this is probably not going to be a play that will get off before the end of the first quarter. As the clock now showing 000, the referee steps in to break it up. And we're going to take a quick break. The Everett Reign playing very well. They get out to a 2-touchdown lead, 12-0 after 1 quarter. However, the Trauma are driving. We're going to take a quick break. You're watching STSPN. Once again to Everett Memorial Stadium. It is Women's Football Alliance on STSPN. The home team, the Everett Reign, out to a 12-0 lead after 1 quarter of play. And 2 touchdowns in the first quarter are the difference in this game so far. A 1-yard quarterback keeper by Brittany Wilson to start off the scoring. And then the very next drive, a Amelia Carr, I guess what are we going to call it, Mike, a 60-yard interception return for a touchdown, and that is our scoring thus far. However, the Trauma are driving right now. 3rd and 4 at the Reign 34-yard line. Guerrera throws a duck up in the air, almost picked off. Incomplete, and that was number 33 on the defense, Marquita Johnson, who almost had an INT there.
Yeah, she did, and so far all of the passing by Tacoma has been toward the flat, and I have to be thinking that at some point they might move number 3, Mattel Walker, into a wingback position where they can get her the ball without having to pass it to her, because she's got good wheels and good moves out there. But so far it's all been trying to get her the ball through the air.
And they're going to go for it here on 4th and 4. 1 for 1 so far in the game for 4th down attempts. See if they can convert this one as well. They need to get right around the 30-yard line for a first down. Sending the receiver Campbell in motion, handing off to Lynch. Lynch spins off of one tackler, another spin move, and that might have been enough to give her a first down. It was. She's still on her feet. Out towards the 28-yard line, and Sierra Lynch doing that on her own on that play. She would look to be down at the 32. She made that play happen.
Yeah, she did, and it really looked like Everett had done a good job of stacking her up, and I thought that she was going to hit the turf, and she just kept battling, kept the legs churning, and got the first down. You and I have rosters right now that we printed offline earlier today. However, one of the officials here just came up and gave us some rosters a minute ago with a few nicknames here, too, we're noticing. This particular one shows Sierra as being short stack Lynch. Okay. And then Mattel Walker, looks like she goes by Kaylee Walker. So we will, I'm sure we'll be calling her name throughout the game again. She's got all 4 of the Trauma touchdowns on the season so far. And she is flanked out to the right again with another receiver in the slot, the wingback in motion. Campbell once again going in motion. The pitch out to Lynch. Lynch looking for room and finding nothing but black jerseys.
She's going to be taken down at the 34-yard line, a loss of 4 on the play.
I'm not really seeing Lynch as a player who is going to find room running east and west, as they say, instead of north and south. She's going to be better going up between the tackles and finding one of the quicker players going out around the ends would be a better solution for the Tacoma team.
I think you and I had the exact same thought on that play. I was a little bit shocked to see the sweeping motion of Lynch on that particular carry. She seems to get the best out of her carries when she is going north-south right away, and that particular time she did not, and the Reign got right in there and stuffed her. The 5-yard loss on the play. Guerrera under center once again, this time looking to throw, looking to the left, throwing into the flat. Ball is completed and out of bounds right around the 25-yard line. Number 12, Dobin making the catch.
Yeah, and Dobin did a nice job, Akeisha Dobin, as she got out and made a move, a little bit of a square out as she went down the field about 3 or 4 yards, faked inside and went back out. Almost everything has been to the flat so far, so maybe Coach Russo will pick up on that and have his players shade towards the sideline on that.
And for a brief moment there, I thought North Shankman was in pretty good position to maybe get an interception. It might have just been the perception from where we're at up above here on the other 40-yard line, but certainly that ball, it tends to float a little bit when Guerrera is throwing it. We've seen 2 interceptions already, and she's not careful. There might be a third one here eventually. Guerrera looking downfield. This time she's going to float it towards the end zone, making the catch and scoring the touchdown is number 18, Kari Fetters, and the Trauma are on the board.
And that was a nice play as she put it out with a nice soft touch and a little bit better spiral that time, a much more catchable ball. She's thrown some wounded ducks up there, but that time the duck headed directly south right into the arms of the receiver for the TD.
Hands down, no doubt, her best pass of the game so far.
Yes, I would agree.
A great pass. That looked really good, and that resulted in a 25-yard touchdown, making it 12-6. And the Trauma will now step up to see if they can convert an extra point play here and maybe even cut into that lead a little bit more.
And also a good call by the coach as they start to see that Everett bringing more and more players up to that line of scrimmage to stop those runs by short stack Lynch going up the middle there and go ahead and go into the pass.
According to my stat sheet, I don't think Tacoma has tried an extra point attempt at all this year. I think it's all been 2-point conversions. They're going to try another one right now. 4 receivers set, Lynch in the backfield, Guerrera rolling out, throws it into the flat, looking for Campbell and overshoots her, and that's going to be incomplete. And that will be the end of this drive, but it does result in a touchdown, which makes it a 12-6 game. We're going to take a quick break. 13-14 to go, second quarter. You're watching football on STSPN.com. I was going to say Everett Reign football, but I guess we can. I figured as much, yeah. That was a nice last couple plays.
With the win.
Welcome back to Everett Memorial Stadium. Steve Willits, Mike Buckholtz, Todd Elvick out here on the broadcast as the Everett Reign are leading the Tacoma Trauma 12-6. Reign picking up their 12 points in the first quarter. The Trauma finally answering and getting their first touchdown of the game, and a gorgeous one at that, a 25-yard pass as the quarterback Katrina Guerrera found Kari Fetters for the touchdown, and now the Reign will get their first chance at the football here in the second quarter.
Brittany Campbell out of Yelm, Washington, going to do the kickoff honors for the Tacoma Trauma.
Campbell with a 40-yard punt earlier, albeit 20 of those yards were on a roll.
Nice end-over-end kick.
A little bit of a short kick to the 26-yard line, fielded by the Reign. Cutting it back towards the middle, that's Shankman. Shankman getting ahead to the 40, where she's finally dragged down after a 14.
Sort of an alley that she could run through and gain some yards, but didn't really find a way to kind of extend it and accelerate as she picked her way carefully, but ended up being tackled on the 40.
Well, we're going to see if the offense can get a nice sustained drive now. They haven't really had a long drive yet. Well, a relatively long one, I guess. They had the ball on their own 10-yard line and got to the 35. The two scores, one was a 17-yard drive after a Nikki Pelham interception. The other one was a pick-6 touchdown on an interception by Amelia Carr. And once again, Wilson back out there at quarterback, I formation this time.
And I'm guessing they're going up the middle with it.
And they're going to pitch it to Pelham over to the left. Cuts it back towards the middle, picks up a couple on the play.
Well, a little surprised they ran it to the short side there, but there's a good bet they're going to be keeping it on the ground here.
And it looks like that tackle was made by number 26, Simone Wright. The 6s and the 8s look relatively the same there as we get our first time out, I believe, of the game here with 12:50 to go. And we'll take a quick break. You are watching WFA football on STSPN. Back once again. You're watching WFA football on STSPN. Everett Reign with the football on their own 42-yard line, 2nd and 8. And I think they're having a little clock issue there, Mike. It's showing 8 seconds remaining on the clock when we know, in fact, that there's about 12:50 left in the second quarter. The handoff going up the middle there. Siva taking it, running off left tackle. Cuts it out to around the 45-yard line. We'll give her 3 on the play. It should bring up a 3rd and 5.
Yeah, tackle over there by Mealy Rich. Got a hold of Siva and dragged her down. Mealy Rich out of Lakewood, Washington.
Not to be confused with the Lakewood, Washington from the Arlington area, or the Lakewood High School up in Arlington.
Yeah, well, I was wondering that, because if that's the case, then she would probably know who Siva is because the close proximity.
Both of these teams with Lakewood players. As a matter of fact, the other quarterback, I believe, for the Reign, Michelle Walsh, is a Lakewood High School alum.
Yes, she is.
And we get shotgun formation from Wilson. Handoff up the middle. They need to get around the 50 for a first down, and bouncing off of one tackler is Siva, finding room and so much more. Stiff arm down to the 37-yard line. Nice job by Siva, and she's a little banged up on the play, but not before she gains 18 yards.
Yeah, and when she went down, she wasn't able to get her hand down and bopped face mask first hard on the turf, and that certainly rattles you, and she's going to come out of the game here and get a sub in.
Our statistician forgot to show up tonight, so we're keeping a lot of these in our head. I know she's already got a 27-yard run to go along with now an 18-yard run, so certainly picking up a large percentage of the offensive production so far for the Reign.
And she had a 3-yard run the carry before.
That's true. Well, she's had a few more than that too, but yeah, those are the two big ones, obviously.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned, she is now out as Wright is back in her place, and running right behind Wright is Pelham. Had a little convoy there up the middle towards the 30-yard line. Nice job by Nikki and the offensive line as well.
Yeah, how about that left side blocking over there? Leanne Lehman out there, one of the lead blockers, just forcing the defenders to go back and just follow along your blockers and get a nice gain there, 7 yards or so.
Lehman, who's been playing at this for a while now, and I know certainly multiple postseason awards for her efforts over the years, so certainly somebody that they've gotten to know very well, and rightfully so.
Has the Lionheart nickname.
Lionheart Lehman, huh?
Lionheart Lehman.
The triple L, I like it. Another handoff one more time. Hey, if it worked last time, why not do it again? Pelham shakes off one tackler, gets past the 25, lunges towards the 23.
Once again, the offensive line on that left side doing a great job of pushing forward for positive yards. Excellent blocking out front.
Yeah, followed up a 7-yard run with a 6-yarder this time. They're inside the 25 right now. 10:45 left on the clock, second quarter. Trying to get that double-digit lead going one more time. Currently ahead 12-6.
And let's see if we can get some more names for you over there on that offensive line. They're on the side. It's kind of tough to see.
We like to give them their credit when we can.
Boomer Sarah Cooper's over there on the left tackle. Or tight
Cooper's
end,
actually the tight end,
Tight end, yeah.
And this time it's going to go right up the middle. Ride taking some of the defenders for a ride. She's still going, or trying to anyway. Gets ahead to the 21 before they're going to say momentum was stopped.
A little bit of a rugby scrum that we see there. Did you ever get an opportunity to go see any rugby matches?
I've been working the Seattle Seawolves games lately.
Oh,
the new professional sports team down at Starfire, yeah. Certainly encourage folks to get out there if they can. 4 home games this year, and they're all sold out already.
Oh.
They've already played 2 of them, and that is a lot of fun to watch. I'm still a little bit mystified at what some of the rules are. I don't completely get it, but I know I enjoy watching it.
You run until you get tackled, then you try to throw the ball to a teammate, as near as I can tell. But there's some rugby clubs up north. The high schoolers at Burlington Edison, when I was teaching there, were starting to play some rugby, so good for them.
Yeah, Pro League finally, and if I think they're maybe thinking they might expand to a bigger building next year. We'll see. Right up the middle one more time. Inside the red zone this time around, close to the 16-yard line. It's going to bring up a 3rd and short.
We got a timeout out on the field. Going to be taken by Tacoma, as I think they're going to need to catch their breath here. Excellent drive going by the Everett Reign right now, as they're gaining huge chunks of yards, especially over that left side, Steve.
Even on the plays that they're not getting very much, they're still picking up 2 or 3 a carry, and that's what you want ultimately if you're going to play this, pounded out run game. And especially on a night like tonight, the temperature is certainly going to be a factor, and we already see that out of the Trauma are hitting those water bottles pretty hard. If you can start to wear them down a little bit, there's no telling what you're going to be able to do in the second half.
Well, so far all of the scores for Everett have been keyed by the defensive play, so it's nice to see the offense get a sustained drive going and just basically pounding the ball over the left side of the offensive line.
No, absolutely. 15 more seconds left in this timeout. And here comes the offense one more time. I think somebody at the up in the scores booth took a little bit of a break there, as it's still showing 3rd and 10 on the 23. It looks as we are glancing down at the chains as though it's more like a 3rd and 3 from the, we'll call it the 16-yard line here. Maybe the 17.
I formation once again. Shiva still has not returned.
Hand off to Pelham. And this time, Bush Johnson steps up into the gap and just drills her, as she was waiting for that play after the last 2 or 3 times. I think they're finally kind of getting a little bit of a read on that, and she just said, no, I don't think so this time. Makisa Bush Johnson, the linebacker.
And still got a couple of yards, though, before the contact.
Yeah, she did. And it's going to bring up a 4th and 2, it looks like. Maybe even a 1 as we look down at the chains there.
Good push from the offensive line, and 00 Kiara Carson coming back in on the defensive line, playing one of those tackles for the Tacoma Trauma. Got a one-on-one situation out here should they choose to go to the air with Amelia Carr.
Boy, I'd be surprised if they did, though, on a 4th and 1. We'll see what they do, though. They got Siva back in the game. Pelham in motion, Siva up the middle, and perhaps they should have passed, because getting stuffed in the middle by Kiera Carson is Siva. She's going to come up short there at the 15, and that should be a turnover to the Trauma.
Yeah, Nikki Pelham went in motion there, and they faked the ball to her. Now, I don't know if that was a read option, but if they would have handed her the ball, she did have some room for around that right side. So it is turned over on downs, and it's going to be Tacoma ball.
It will be. As we're looking at the clock. I think they're having a few issues out there right now, so we're waiting to see if they're going to get that resolved here fairly shortly. I know there's about 9 minutes left in the quarter at this point, I believe.
After the trouble that I had in one of the baseball games today working the technology, I'm not going to say anything about anybody working anything that has to do with technology. And people kept texting me, and I was troubleshooting and doing play-by-play at the same time. None of them very good.
Well, one way to I guess, fix the clock is to reset it, and now it's showing absolutely nothing. It's completely off, so we'll continue to monitor that. We'll certainly keep the down and distances up here, but enough time in the second quarter here nonetheless for a Trauma drive if they can get something going here, as The offense is back out on the field for the second time in the quarter, the last one resulting in a touchdown drive. Guerrera out into the flat, flips it out. Incomplete, and just off the fingertips of Dobin.
And that looked a little bit like some of our neighborhood passes as she just lobbed that thing out there, and there were no defenders there, and tried to hit her in stride just a little bit long. She could have went a long ways if that pass was just maybe 2 feet shorter there.
She's thrown that little wheel route to Dobin about 3 times now in the last 15 minutes, and twice now we've seen just barely missing it on the play, almost catches for long yardage, and then the third time was in fact a 15-yard catch, which led to a touchdown on the very next play. So they're seeing something they like there. They're recognizing now that if they run that wheel right out to her, they're getting some open spaces in the flats, and seems to be working as nothing else really was early on in the game for the Trauma. This time Dobin goes in motion, the handoff up the middle, and lunging forward for a gain of about 4. I believe that is Sierra Lynch. We'll wait to confirm that as she gets up, and in fact it is.
And they've been running the ball up the middle, and then it's the play action to Lynch that is drawing the linebacker in, allowing that wheel route to come open.
3rd and 6 coming up. The referees, I think the head official there just looked at the sideline and kind of threw his hands up in the air. I'm guessing that was in regards to the scoreboard, which is still completely off. Your head official today, David Sather. We'll read the rest of those guys here in just a moment. 3rd and 6. Katrina Guerrera under center. Dobin in motion one more time. Right to left, looking into the flat again. Dobin with her back turned to the ball, and that could have been dangerous right there for the Trauma, as stepping in front of that football was Forrest Larson. She was the only one looking for the ball, and had that ball floated just a little bit higher, Larson would have had a pick 6 into the end zone. And
that time there was no play action, and Larson, playing that linebacker position, just looking at the quarterback and reading her eyes, had an opportunity there. So I think they're
a little communication cross-up, I think, there too, as Dobin never even looked back. Guerrera knew exactly where she wanted to go with the ball right away. Players were obviously running a different route.
Going to be Shankman and Carr back to receive the punt for Tacoma's punt. Everett, Shankman, and Carr.
Yeah, Carr on the left side, standing right around the 50-yard line. Shankman 5 yards back. Low kick. That was almost blocked by Larson. It bounces. Carr's going to field it. No, she's not. She fumbled it. I don't know if she got it or if Walker has it right now. There's a scramble for it right now.
And that's where she got caught in the middle of that before. And that looks like that might be Tacoma ball.
We've yet to see any kind of an indication from the refs, and we finally do. In fact, Walker did in fact come away with that football, as Carr had to dribble off of her fingers just a little bit in front of her, and give Walker a lot of credit. She dove on that thing instantly.
And that kick was low, and that was a perfect spiral on the punt, and looked like actually the perfect pass. And Carr, again, kind of getting caught in between. Do I come up and catch it and let it bounce? And she went for it on the bounce, and that was the one that she let go last time. It rolled about 20 yards, and I think her fear then was, I don't want to try to make that play because if I don't field it cleanly, it's a fumble. And this time she did, in fact, fumble. So Tacoma's in business at midfield, near midfield.
I guess if you're the Reign, the one saving grace on that was it only really netted 29 yards on the play. Tacoma still on the Everett side of the field. They're going to throw it into the flat again. This time it might have been picked off. It was. Amelia Carr says, I'll give you the football, but I will take it right back. Thank you very much. And Carr has her second INT of the game.
Redemption.
Redemption indeed.
Yeah, and give her credit, because a lot of times people will make a play and fumble and hang their head and so on. And Carr, very determined, just stepped up right in the middle and tore that one away from the receiver as well. So
as it turns out, in the end, lost about 10 yards on the play. She initially tried to field the punt at the 50 and gives her team the ball back at their own 40. Still no time showing on the clock. I'm thinking maybe roughly 6 or 7 minutes left in the half.
And the clock shows the ball on the 14 when, in fact, it's the 40.
Yeah, it's been locked on the 14, I think, for a couple minutes since they tried to reset the clock. We'll see if they, in fact, get that up later on. Perhaps a bill wasn't paid. We'll see. Holland on the sweep. She gets ahead, fumbles the football. Was she down? No signal on the play.
Possibly down. I think she's shaken up on the play.
And no, they're going to say it was, in fact, a live ball, and Tacoma came away with it. 3 straight turnovers for both teams combined here. One on special teams, the others on each of the team's offensive plays. And Tacoma, once again, will have the ball in the 50.
Yeah, Shania Holland taking some pain on that hit. And if you can remember back in those football days when you get those sudden painful hits, it's hard to hang on to that pigskin.
Indeed. I try to forget those days. And fortunately for me, old age is helping me with some of that. But
unfortunately for me, some of those days were ingrained very much.
No choice in the matter, right? 5 turnovers on the game so far. We've had 3 interceptions from the Everett Reign defense.
Clock showing 6:05 now.
Okay, we've got the clock back on, so we'll see if that in fact is the case. Flag goes up immediately. Into the flat, the ball's intercepted again. This time it's Forrest. She picks it off and returns it a couple yards to the 45-yard line, and let's see what the penalty is.
Well, this
illegal shift against Tacoma. Declined. Everett football. 4 plays, Mike, 4 turnovers.
And now the clock went from 6:05 to 5:11, and there are some other hieroglyphics up on the board that I'm not sure what they mean, but
it's also showed 4. Yeah, it's like a exclamation point and a apostrophe up there, it looks like. I didn't even know they had that on those clocks.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you get some of those new scoreboards and you start having to try to figure it out and push buttons and stuff, you don't know what the heck's going to come up.
Emojis popping up.
Yeah. Little smiley face.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. It's also showing, it was showing 14-6 a minute ago, when in fact the score is 12-6. So.
And now we're at 4:44, so.
Fast-moving clock, I guess. 44-yard line. The Everett Reign. Let's see if we can finally get a play without a turnover. Maybe the ball still on the ground, and we might have had our 5th turnover on 5 consecutive plays.
Mattel Walker came diving in there from her safety position. She saw it open. And number 77 for Tacoma, Shauna Lubbers-Denslow comes up with it. And Tacoma gets it back.
I have never seen anything like this, Mike. 5 consecutive turnovers on consecutive plays. And actually, we've got a new 77. It's Abby Miller tonight from what the
Abby Miller, okay.
From the roster that they gave us here about 10 minutes ago.
Okay, well, Abby Miller making the play.
Abby Miller was originally listed as number 72. They have her 77 tonight, so we'll assume that that's Abby Miller. And oh, you know what? We have 2 77, so I think they just we're going to go back to Shauna Lubbers-Denslow. You can't have 2 77s on the same team.
Well, you can. Well, so one is Miller here on the sideline right in front of us. So, but that wasn't her that made the recovery. So.
And then we've got a 77 in a blue jersey right in front of us here at the 41-yard line. So, in a street close. So we've got 77s all over. This time Lynch takes another pitch, trying to get back to the line of scrimmage. Met right at the line. Number 29 stepping up to slow her down a little bit. That's Naomi Serrano.
And boy, Naomi went up and tried to hit Lynch up high, and Lynch did not flinch and fell forward again for some positive yards.
Serrano also listed as a quarterback on the roster.
Chanel Siva back in the game for Everett, so that's good to see, as she was shaken up on one of her runs where she hit the turf pretty hard. Her arms were wrapped up and hit her face mask on the turf.
And oh, by the way, you know what the significance of that last play was?
What?
No turnover. First time in 6 plays. We literally had 5 turnovers in 5 consecutive plays.
Well, we were going for the half dozen of the turnovers as the bakery's open there.
That's a record by about 3. This time we've got Campbell in at quarterback now as they pulled Guerrera out. And she hits Walker right in the face. I think Walker got distracted momentarily as number 90 went up to try to make a defensive play. I think that's a number 90 out there.
I think it's
that's
80.
Number 80. That is, in fact.
Flickinger is out there playing that left cornerback, and I think she tipped it a little bit.
And if she doesn't, Walker might still be running. That was a pretty good throw by Campbell.
Yeah, and Walker kind of hitting her helmet like, how could I miss that? But I think it did get a little bit of a tip.
Campbell coming into the game had 3 passing attempts on the year.
Clock now showing 3:22. I'm not sure if that's accurate because it was running after that incomplete pass and just now stopped on 3:22.
No, has Guerrera been – Guerrera's thrown 4 interceptions today, so I'm not sure if she's been she is standing here on the sideline, so I'm not sure if this is a benching or, in fact, maybe an injury, or maybe they just want to look at something a little different.
Well, they got number 42.
That's Campbell. She's the one that threw the last pass.
Yeah.
Lynch gets ahead for 1 yard. So we'll keep an eye on that to see if Campbell, in fact, stays in the game or if Guerrera goes back in.
Well, 42 is not exactly a quarterback number. Campbell listed as a defensive end.
Well, and she's been, we've seen her do everything tonight. We've seen her punt, we've seen her kick off, we've seen her carry the football. So we've seen a little bit of everything out of Brittany Campbell.
Well, I did see Guerrera over here on the bench trying to stretch out the back part of her calf, so she may be having some leg cramps there in the warm weather as she was kind of doing some leg lifts and stuff. And
yeah. Then again, maybe it's just 2 consecutive interceptions and 4 in the first half, and let's try something a little different. So we'll continue to monitor that. 4th and 9 coming up, and they're staying in the offensive set. They've got to get to the 46-yard line of the Reign to keep this drive going. The clock now showing 1:36, but as we've mentioned a few times, we're not sure even if that is accurate or not at this point. Campbell drops back to pass, gets picked off. No, I shouldn't say picked off, gets picked up and thrown to the ground. Number 96 coming in to make the tackle. That's Shanae Madison, as another defensive player initially grabbed Campbell as she got ready to cock back and throw the ball. It took her motion over to the left a little bit, and finally Madison comes over and finishes her off for a loss of yardage and a turnover.
And Campbell back at quarterback for a player who's listed as a defensive end. She looked pretty confident as she was directing traffic before the snap, trying to get players to move from one side to the other, and fended off one defender on the rush like she was going to get away before Matson got a hold of her and dragged her down for the sack.
Tell you what, I hate to question coaches though, but again, 1:11 to go or whatever it was, the minute 02 now, you went for it on 4th and 9 at your own 45-yard line, and you give them excellent field position to try to get another score before the end of the half. Bush Johnson picks up Pelham and throws her to the turf. No gain on the play. And to me, Mike, I think in that situation, you punt it 30 or 40 yards down the field and you go into the half 12-6. Now you're giving them a chance.
I would certainly agree with that assessment.
Let's get a little house item here. We want to get the referees' mentions out. We already mentioned David Sather is the referee tonight. Jim Park, the umpire. Brian Clutie is a linesman. Bob Zamora is your line judge, and John McBride is your back judge. And now that we've gotten that out of the way, I want to read a note that Todd Elvick wrote me here on the fly a minute ago, so Todd might have to fill me in on some of the details. He mentioned that the STSPN will be broadcasting the Washington State girls lacrosse action this week, the semifinals on Tuesday, and the championship game on Friday night down at Starfire. You gave me the dates and the semis and the championship. I don't know, do we know who's playing in these games? We don't. We don't, so perhaps we'll look that up. But nonetheless, if you like lacrosse, high school girls lacrosse at that, tune in to STSPN on Tuesday night. Todd, 7 o'clock-ish? We don't know that information. We know it's a Tuesday night anyway. Probably give or take right around 7. I'm just reading what you put in front of me. What's that? 5 and 7 o'clock on Tuesday, 7 on Friday for the championship game. That's another sport that I enjoy watching. Those young ladies can get out there and play. Shankman on the end around gets ahead to the 31-yard line, right up around the first down marker. Might just be a little bit short, because the clock shows 5 seconds to go now.
And that was that quarterback read that time by Wilson where the play before she did not hand off to the flanker in front. This time she did and picked up some pretty good yardage.
So we're going to get a timeout here. We'll keep it here. 5 seconds to go, so we think. Again, if you're just tuning in, we've had some clock issues up on the scoreboard. So we're assuming that the official time is being kept on the field. But we're going to go under the assumption it might be 5 seconds because they are, in fact, calling a timeout. This is a Everett Reign team that hasn't really been picking up yardage in bunches. You got your 31-yard play in your arsenal right now, and if so, what is it? Now the clock is showing 38 seconds, so we'll see if you even need that.
38. No, you might not need it. You're try to get the first down here if it's 38 seconds. But one of the strategies that was being used against Portland is in those later situations is to go ahead and throw the ball down the field and see if you can get a pass interference, and they ended up getting a couple of pass interference calls. And
well, my whole argument is completely moot now that there's 33 extra seconds on the clock there. So we're playing a fun game up here. It's called Guess the Time Left, and so far I don't think anybody's winning.
And Mattel Walker is basically the safety back there as Siva gets the ball and is trying to make her way over the left side there.
And she picks up a first down with that spin move, gets down to the 27-yard line. first down. That'll stop the clock at 37 seconds. Again, we're not sure what's going on. Only 1 second went off the clock on that play.
That was at least a 1.5 second play, I can tell you that.
I think the spin alone took 2 seconds, so they motioned to get the clock started again, and the clock is not. So we're not sure what's going on. We just know that the Reign has the football, and Wilson's rolling out, finds Pelham out in the flat. That was a dangerous pass. It gets a little high. Pelham brings it down at the 25-yard line, and nice job by Kari Fetters on the defensive side of things to bring her down.
Yeah, nice job by Pelham to even make that pass in traffic and had to reach up for it.
Reach up and back, and if she doesn't, Fetters might have an easy path down the sideline if, in fact, she picks that off. Now the clock shows 1 second left, so who knows what's going on. Shankman out in the flat, catches it, cuts it back out to the left, and she's got room! She's got the end zone, and touchdown, Everett Reign!
No laundry down on the field, running that inside screen, came around the other receiver who shielded off the cornerback and caught it and then broke it back outside.
Gorgeous play by Shankman there, as she, like you said, caught the screen pass, started to go inside, recognized there was a huge lane on the outside, nothing but open space. 23 yards later, she's in the end zone.
And got a couple of nice blocks out there, so whoever the wide receiver on that side was with her did a super job, and what a game changer there with what shows to be 1 second on the clock, but that could change here in a moment.
We know we're in the second quarter. That we do know. They're going to go for 2 here. It's 18-6 right now. Reign ahead. Wright and Siva in together, and she's met in the backfield. Once again, Bush Johnson getting in there to make a play, as well as a few others, one of which was number 77, Shauna Lubers-Denslow.
And how many times when you're watching the Seahawks did you see Marshawn Lynch get the ball and immediately get hit in that situation?
And you know what? Apparently we're at halftime right now.
Well, if that's the case, then that touchdown took place on the last play basically of the half, so that is a big touchdown.
That's a huge touchdown. You went from a one-possession lead to a doubling the difference in score. It is now 18-6. The Trauma are kind of looking around. They're still trying to figure out what's going on. They're
traumatized.
They are traumatized. The clock's been having issues for about the last 9 or 10 minutes. Nonetheless, the PA announcer has made it known that it's halftime. The referees are heading back towards the locker room, and we're going to take a quick break as well. The Everett Reign looking to go 4-1 on the year. They have an 18-6 lead at halftime over the Tacoma Trauma. You're watching WFA football on STSPN.
right.
It's the Seahawk Rooster?
The Seahawk Rooster.
Is that bad?
No.
Somebody
See,
tried to challenge me.
Hey, I like your routine. That's a positive way to think. I
Sure, it's
forgot
the
my
Seahawk
phone.
Rooster.
Hashtag Seahawk.
Oh, you didn't say, you didn't say underscore?
A couple good photos. Do you mind?
It's a
go ahead.
hashtag.
Oh, you don't, you can do a hashtag at the beginning of a
Twitter?
Yeah.
I don't know. I signed up. I got Seahawk Rooster, not the
Okay, let's try that.
Seahawk Rooster.
Come on, you a rookie here or what?
I don't do Twitter.
I'm gonna run down
You know,
that truck.
I only have so much time.
Do you
There we
need
go.
anything from down there?
There it is. I try and do as much as I can, but you know, you only have so much time, right? Here we go.
And welcome back right now from STSPN. We are live at Everett Memorial Stadium. The halftime score, the Everett Reign lead the Tacoma Trauma 18-6.
What a fight.
What a fight. And we've
What a
got a
fight.
guest
It's a
with us
battle.
right now. The Seahawk Rooster is in the house. And Todd Elvick, are you able to catch the entire outfit here? Look at this guy. You look sharp, my friend.
This is how I get my 12 on, brother.
Make sure you're talking to the microphone. There
This is
we
how
go.
I get my 12 on,
You got
brother.
your 12
Yeah.
on, indeed.
This is it.
What exactly are you doing here? You supporting women's football? You here
You know
to
what? I'm
promote anything?
these
or what?
guys right over here, the Hawk Wheels,
Hawk Wheels,
are friends of mine, and they do a lot of charity work. So they asked me to come here and give me a spot on the 12th because I'm a 12.
I like
and
it.
I'm showing my 12 off to the Everett Reign. I've known them for quite some time. I've just never had the opportunity to do this for them. It's been a lot of fun on the sidelines with them, and I'm having a heck of a time.
Well, my next question was going to be, who are you rooting for? And you just answered
Well,
that.
of
So
course.
you're rooting for the home team there.
For the home team.
There we go. So who all do we have out there today? Are you the only one in attire, or are there other guys with you today?
Well, you know, when it comes down to stuff like this, they say super fans. I'll accept. You know, I decided long ago that I wanted to become part of the game day experience, and so I hopefully I've achieved that. You know,
You've definitely achieved that.
But with folks like this, they've got like Big Dog over there and Hawk Wheels. They bring their gear. They do charity drives, Toys for Tots, and blanket drives and food drives, and I'm all over for that. I help them out.
Well, it's been great to see the evolution of this over the years. It used to be a few fans in the 70s and the 80s show up wearing different gear, wearing makeup and whatnot, and just showing up on Sundays and 8 times a year, and that was it. And you guys really have done your part. And it's not just you guys and your group of the super fans, it's others as well that get out there and do so much for the community and bring a lot of smiles and joy to people. And
that's all about fan greatness. That's all about, and we have yet to tap that resource in all of fandom, believe me. There's an organization out there called What a Fan. And What a Fan accentuates all that greatness of fans from all over. It doesn't, you have to be a football fan to be part of that. But if you get just to get an understanding of how many fans we got in the area. I mean, just say 1 million, but there's probably 10 or 12, 14 million in the area. And I want to guess there's probably good 50 organizations doing great things for people, for underprivileged, for hospitals all over. It's amazing how many people are involved.
Tell us about some of the events you've taken part in, or places you've gotten to visit, or people you've been able to meet and see over the
Well,
years.
something happens every year. There's a Hawk Fest going on down there at Emerald Downs coming up on the 19th. And that's all about 12 supporting 12s, raising money to help 12s that are not in all that great a shape.
Sure.
And they need help of other 12s. And certainly, if you can afford a jersey, you can afford a hand to help out. So you get down there with your 12 bucks and put it in the kitty, and you're helping out. There's all kinds of stuff like Mike Ware down here. He's the announcer at the game.
Announcer, yeah.
He takes his Hawk Wheels, and all the people in Hawk Wheels goes. I mean, last year was toy drives, and we just finished doing a food drive out in Lake Stevens. And it's just about fan spirit.
And it's not just in Snohomish County. You guys tend to get out all over the place.
Well,
you mentioned Emerald Downs
we have
already,
the
obviously.
Fan Fest in Ocean Shores coming up this summer. A guy by the name of Dave Lang is Dan Lang's he's helping head that up out there. It's gonna be a fantastic thing. We get about, I don't know, maybe 15,000 people out there, all having a great time, just being a great 12. It's fantastic.
It's fantastic indeed. Hey, on game day, what does the day look like for you? Early in the morning? Are you getting up and are you putting the makeup on the night before to get ready? What are you doing there?
Well, if the game starts at 11, I can imagine I'm up at like 6:30 and I get the paint on. I like to be there about 3 hours early because part of what I do, at the games, I give out awards. And I give out awards for fans just for being fans there, and it's a great thing. I get to interview them and put them out there on social media and show fan greatness, and it's amazing things, just the greatness that's there in the fan base. Outside of having pictures, you can take a couple of steps and somebody else wants a picture. It's a great time. It's a great chance to connect with people, too.
So if anybody goes to a Seahawks game this year, is there a particular place they can find you before the game? Or do you have a lot of people
You can't miss this.
Yeah, I was going to say, right. I know.
Like
I can imagine. But I would think during the game, I mean, there's a part of you that wants to watch the game, but if you've got everybody coming up to you left and right, hey, picture time, or in this day and age of selfies and phones and everything else?
When it comes to the game, the headpiece comes off, and I hold my hand over my heart.
Okay.
I'm in my seat. And, you know, I sing the national anthem along with the person singing the national anthem, and I want to see what's happening. I want to watch the game, too. But if I feel like the fans aren't in it, I'm out there. I'm running up the goddamn stands, and I'm challenging people to get off their thumbs, you know, because everybody's got a voice. Every voice counts.
Okay, so
and that's what it's about, being there in that stadium.
This is being broadcasted right now. We can go back and watch it later. I'm going to put you on the spot.
You are.
I want a prediction.
A prediction.
Everybody's writing the Seahawks off. They're going downhill. They're getting old.
I haven't heard
All
that.
these players are retiring or getting traded or being cut. Richard Sherman, Cliff Averill. We can't repeat again. In Pete, we trust. I mean, are we in rebuild mode?
You know what?
Come on, Rooster, give me something to build on here.
You just got to understand something. Pete knows what he's doing, and he's proved it to us time and time again. Just because those people with all the star power and the mouth, and I'm not taking anything from Richard or Bennett or anybody, but it takes more than just those guys to make our team, and we got all those guys that are still on our team, and they've all challenged the Shermans and the Bennetts on the line and on the defense and on the offense. We're still a great team, and we got great opportunities, and who knows? Look we've got a whole bunch of new people on the team we don't know a thing about. How about that? How about the running back we just picked up?
I was going to ask you about that. What did you think of the draft?
Holy smokes, you know what? I do like the draft. I like what Pete's doing. A lot of people, you choose the number one players. You know, I'm not a huge person to follow the draft. But I kind of I wait. I says, Pete, what are you going to do? You know, John, what are you going to, who you find? You know, and they seem to find those darn, I don't want to say roses, but, you know, the diamonds in the rough are what really comes out of it. And just because the last draft only achieved a couple out of 7, look at all the guys we've gathered around us this time. We haven't even hit training camp.
And John Schneider,
I'm excited.
They've got a Super Bowl ring to show for it.
Yes,
Almost
they do.
Too, so we trust them. Hey, before we let you go, 18-6 first half score. Give us some thoughts. What have you seen so far? Are you enjoying the football?
I'm really enjoying the football game. There's a lot of gals hurt out here. Tacoma's bringing the grit. It's a great game to watch. They're beating each other up. I'm amazed. The gals on the side, you can see it in their eyes. I'm over there on the Reign side, and they're they come off the field just steaming. It's amazing.
And the Seahawk Rooster, how do people follow you? Do you have a Facebook page?
Nick Goins, the Seahawk Rooster.
Nick Owens, the Seahawk Rooster. Goins, okay, Nick Goins, the Seahawk Rooster.
Goins.
And we finally just discovered a minute ago, it's at Seahawks Rooster for the Seahawks Rooster.
On Twitter.
To follow you on Twitter. So, Seahawks Rooster, we appreciate you coming up here.
Thank you very much.
All right, go back, enjoy the game, and hey, go 12s.
How about go Seahawks? Go Reign.
Go Reign indeed. So the Seahawks Rooster, and what a fun interview that was. We're going to get Mike Buckholtz back on here in a moment.
Well, I reset the clock, but I don't know where the timekeeper is. I turned it off and reset it and got it going.
Oh, okay.
But I don't. No.
Mike Buckholtz, you go ahead and put your headphones on here. We want to talk to you. But did you just do a little side work? Were you trying to reset the clock?
Yes, I used to be athletic director and deal with some of these time things, and so in my amazing technological ability, I turned the clock off and reset it, and there it is. So it's not going to run because there's no timekeeper up there right now, as it looks like Amelia Carr takes the second half kickoff about the 30-yard line, makes her way over the left side.
Yeah, 25-yard line. She gets a 16-yard return. Nice job from her as Brittany Campbell once again out to kick the ball off. And, yeah, you never know who you're going to run into at these games. We had Norb Cam up here last year from the I think the Wheels of Boom or whoever he's with. I can't keep track of all these Seahawks fan groups. I love seeing them. It's always an interesting time when they are in the house. And the Seahawks rooster. My first encounter with him.
I had Mama Malloy a couple of weeks ago, the mother of Lawyer Malloy, long time a Husky great and NFL great, and I think he played 15 years in the NFL.
And at a very high level too. Yeah, his family's still doing big things around here. His daughters, great softball players. One at the UW right now, and the other one I think going to Tennessee next year.
Right, they talked about that, and she'd been going to the UW games. So,
daughter Kiki over at Redmond High School. I got to watch her play basketball this year. She is quite the athlete as well. We're going to get a first pass, another screen, this time to Amelia Carr. Gets it up the middle towards the 50-yard line, just a little bit short at the 48. She's going to be short by about 3 yards of the first down.
Ran into her own player who was out front setting a block and got pushed back into the running lane there, or she would have went perhaps a little bit further. So the defender doing a good job there, but nevertheless, 8-yard gain.
And interesting to note here, we're going to get a timeout on the very first play of the half. I'm not sure if perhaps the coach saw a scheme he didn't like, or what. That's a heck of a time to use one of your timeouts right when the game starts. And apparently the clock is still having issues. It shows 15.
It's not having issues. I just reset it.
It has an operator issue.
There's no operator up there right now, as he became very frustrated, and I'm not sure where he went, but I went up and messed around with it a little bit and got the code in. I turned it off, and it came up. And he had it all set. He had it set correctly, but I'm not the clock keeper. So maybe I'll run up and add if somebody scores, I'll change the score, so at least we'll have that on the board.
You're going to get yourself a workout. There's no elevator on this side of the building either. You get the old
I've
wooden
already
stairs.
had a workout with those stairs in there. So talking about workout going up and down the stairs.
Anybody who's been to the press booth or on this side of the field here at Everett Memorial, very steep and a lot of stairs involved, and we're about halfway up right now. The score operator directly above us. 2nd and 3 coming up. Wilson takes the snap. Handoff this time to Pelham. Pelham met in the backfield and thrown down for a loss. Getting through there rather quickly is number 0, Kiara Carson, and she makes her third quarter presence felt there.
Quite an introduction to the third quarter there, as I'm sure Pelham thought, uh-oh.
Yeah, as soon as she touched that ball, she had 2 arms around here, and they were big arms at that. Carson was not going to let her go anywhere.
Yeah, the big tackle in the front, 285.
Not a bad spot. She only lost about a yard on the play. So
she got forward progress.
Yeah, I guess so. They gave her a lot of forward progress there. So let's see what happens here. 3rd and short. Handoff to the fullback. Another scrum. This one's not going anywhere. Going to give forward progress once again back to the line of scrimmage. And we've got a Trauma player slow to get up on the play. That's number 86, Macy Wilson. We got to know Macy a little bit last year in the game we broadcasted down in Tacoma, a game that they won 7-6. She was our player of the game that night, and she's back on her feet and doing well, so we'll keep an eye on her. It's going to bring up 4th and short, about 2 yards to go here.
Some adjustments by Tacoma as Everett was making lots of yards over that left side. And now, not so much.
Yeah, so trip set here on the left. I've yet to see that tonight. So we'll see what this play is here. As Wilson rolls out to that side, flips it to Pelham off of her fingertips, incomplete. Send a couple of receivers trying to drag the defenders downfield with him, and then throw into the flat, and just couldn't quite make the connection. And that will turn it over to the Trauma. So we're going to see what the team from the south side can do here on their first possession of the half. The Trauma team that seemed to get things going a little bit there in the second quarter. It even goes as far as to say up until about the last 2 minutes when the Reign went on that scoring drive, the Trauma really had the momentum going.
They did, but the Reign scored on the very last play of the half, and that really changed the dynamic of it. 12-point lead, but turning the ball over on downs, deciding not to play the field position.
And they're going to continue to go with Brittany Campbell after Guerrera had those 4 interceptions in the first half. Lynch powers her way forward. Right off of the right tackle there. Picks up, we're going to call it about 6 yards on the play, down to the 42.
And right now, because both teams are using the power running game, obviously that means down in the trenches is where the huge decision or the decider for this game is going to be made, unless they come up with some passing plays.
Well, and the temperature has dropped significantly in the last 15 minutes since the halftime. The sun going down behind the trees. Now the field is completely shaded, but nonetheless, that Those two lines both getting quite the workout there in the first half when it was about 70 degrees out. Campbell looking to pass over the middle, picked off, the 5th interception of the game. This is Siva. Siva finding room. She's at the 40. She's at the 30. The 20. Inside the 10. A dive by Campbell to no avail. Touchdown, Everett Reign.
Going to be all for naught as roughing the passer was called as when Campbell threw contact to the head. They saw it cleanly, and so did the officials, so that's going to be called back. And Mattel Walker helping them out.
Oh, wow.
So how big is that penalty? Good pressure on the quarterback, and Campbell stood in there, but she did take a shot up around the head area, so going to be a 15-yard penalty instead of a touchdown.
That is huge. And again, we hadn't really seen Brittany Campbell make a monstrous error yet. We saw Guerrero make a few of them in the first half when she was quarterbacking, and Campbell, I think, feeling the pressure of that rush, just threw right into the hands of Steven. Nobody even in the area, really.
Well, it's amazing what a judo chop to the head will do to your ability to do things, you know.
So a note to self for the Everett Reign, no more judo chops to the head when you're rushing the quarterback.
That's right.
So not only do you lose the touchdown and you lose the interception, you give them a 15-yard penalty, and the ball inside your 30-yard line now as the Trauma will be snapping from right around the 26.
I'm an Austin Powers fan, so that's where I used to watch those spy shows in the late 60s and stuff like that, and he, of course, spoofed those. Michael Myers, Austin Powers, he would talk about the judo chop. And they never worked when we were kids, but not for lack of trying, however.
Austin Powers. Wow, I haven't heard that reference in a while. I like it. Campbell back under center. She drops back, looking to her right, fires it over the middle. A wobbly pass at that. Incomplete. She had a receiver open. And I think that ball almost looked as though it might have slipped out of her hand. Her intended receiver was Melly Rich. And Rich had the touchdown. If the ball gets there, it just fell a little bit short, floundering to the ground there.
Well, there was some pressure being put on her again, but this time the defender held up. So that pressure may have affected it a little bit. But I will say this about Campbell, for being listed as a defensive end, she's showing a lot of courage and actually ability at quarterback out there. This is clearly not the first time she's played quarterback.
Well, as we mentioned in the first half, she has 3 pass attempts on the season so far. Certainly has more than that now tonight as she's back under center one more time. Lynch behind her, 2 receivers out to each side. 2nd and 10 coming up. They want to pass one more time. Looking deep again. Man on man. Coming up with it is Walker. Catches it at the 5. Is met by a handful of defenders. Fumbles the football. Everett falls on it. And we're waiting for the signal here.
They called Everett has got the ball.
Everett Reign football.
And that is a break as Walker again trying to break some tackles and loosely holding on, defending, using her off arm to fend people off, and somebody punched it loose.
2 costly errors from each team in this drive. One from the Reign on that interception, roughing the passer, and this time Walker, who makes a huge play. We mentioned it earlier. She had every touchdown scored by the Trauma so far this year going into the night. She looked like she was set to maybe get another one there. Spun away from one tackler and then was met by 3 or 4 different Reign players, one of which you couldn't see from here, just stripped the ball from her, and it's Reign ball now at the 5-yard line. Clock continues to show 15. We're imagining we're not quite halfway through the third quarter yet, but
there's no one up there. And here comes a late addition to the Reign offense, now playing tailback.
Handoff, left side, no room to run. As we're gonna have to use the binoculars as we're on the other side of the field for that one. Number 40 getting the carry, the first one of the night for Stephanie Howard.
If there is another score, I'll go up and try to put that onto the clock. So at least we're not showing the right time, but we'll have the
right score. Yeah.
Have the right score. So.
And of course, Todd Elvick all over it up here in our booth. He has the right score on the screen, so we're taken care of in that regard. 4 touchdowns on the night, 3 for the Reign, 1 for the Trauma, and we are 0 for 4 on extra point attempts so far. Trauma going for 2 on their touchdown and coming up short. Reign actually tried a PAT attempt the first time around and had that blocked. And the last 2 times they went for 2. Shotgun formation. Wilson over the middle, coming up with the catch. Shankman on the
end-over-end pass. Found the target, and it's there.
the target, and throwing that one into dangerous waters there as Walker was on her one-on-one, and Shankman comes away with it. Nice post pattern there for a gain of about 10. And a first down.
My wife has chimed in with a nice job, Steve and Buck, good broadcast team. I'm assuming she meant to include Todd in that
Of course.
as well. But
what is your wife's name, by the way?
Maggie.
Maggie, happy Mother's Day.
Oh, yes.
Wish her a happy Mother's Day for tomorrow. It's just about here.
Good. I can see her smiling right now.
So, Maggie, we appreciate you watching. We knew somebody was watching us tonight. Of course, one of our family members. So, see what we get here this time. I formation. Ride to the fullback, leading the tailback into the hole there as they run right side. Let's see if we can figure out who is carrying the ball. That's Pelham back in one more time.
Everett doing a super job at digging themselves out of the hole.
Yeah.
They caused the fumble, nice defensive play. And, they did that on against Portland as well. That's what kept Everett in the game against Portland. They caused 3 fumbles, I believe, in the first half and recovered all of them. 5 fumbles total in the game. Everett picked up every single one of them.
They've done that on more than one occasion tonight, too. We saw them take it over on the 10-yard line earlier on that nice punt from Campbell in the first quarter. And although Everett didn't go down and get a score on that drive, they were nonetheless able to march the ball down the field around 55 yards and got themselves out of a hole. See if they can do that one more time here. This time they are looking at a 2nd and about 6. Shotgun formation. Wilson ready to take the snap. Sending Howard in motion. No, that's number 80 in motion, and she's going to take the handoff and run it around the side. That's Flicklinger.
And
Nowhere to run.
She's not going to get anywhere, but one of the defenders came across the line, Bruce Irvin style, well before the snap. And so it's going to be a 5-yard penalty on Tacoma.
I like the Bruce Irvin reference. Did you see what Bruce Irvin did this weekend, by the way?
I did not. I was busy.
No. So was he.
Yeah.
Nice segue.
I'm not even sure I want to know.
No, this is a good thing. Former Seahawk. Left West Virginia early when he was coming out of college and had some issues at West Virginia. Didn't always get along well with some of the fellow coaches and was suspended a couple times. Graduated from college. Like 5 years later, actually walked in the ceremony over the weekend. So, he was also the Oakland Raiders Walter Payton Man of the Year award winner this year. So he's certainly somebody who's turned his life around. So I'm glad you referenced that.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I just wish he would have stayed on side.
He did. The Trauma did not. So we are looking at a 2nd and 1 right now. Wilson shotgun. Hands it off. Up the middle. 43. Brandy Ride, rather.
Not much there.
Didn't need much. Let's see if see what they do with the chains here. It's going to bring up a 3rd and short.
Logan Martin out leading the blocks on that side, but a lot of defenders out there.
Did in fact pick up the first down, so they will move the chains one more time.
Well,
2nd first down in this drive, so nicely done. They're eating up clock. We don't know how much clock, but we know they're eating up clock.
It does show the right score, and that's
it still
important.
does.
So
that's good.
I had to mess with it for a while. There was definitely something wrong with the clock. So,
and we're going to get another Pelham handoff here. This time going to the left.
The fact that I was even able to fix it is usually I'm really good at breaking things. So.
You've had experiences with both, correct? Breaking and fixing?
Mostly breaking.
And we've got a break in the action here right now. We've got Todd Elvick, the director, now. He wants me to. We're posing for pictures while we're doing this.
Okay, wait a second. We gotta get the shades.
He wants our shades on right now.
The shades
so
on, yeah.
I guess if we don't want to say cheese, but we should keep talking during the time out here too. So we've got shotgun formation going right now. Under center, Wilson pitches the ball a little bit low. Pelham has to fall on it, and does so wisely to make sure to preserve the possession. She does lose a few yards in the process. It's going to bring up 3rd and long.
Yeah, maybe the tendency might be to try to pick that thing up, and then if you do so and somebody pops you right as you reach down, then it ends up being a turnover. So smart decision by Nikki Pelham.
And we see that at all levels in football.
We have, and actually I've been a part of that situation more than once when back when I used to play football infamously.
And then after the fact, you always wonder, why did I do that? Why did I not just follow
Well, usually the coach had a hold of my face mask and asking that question, not quite so politely.
Well, let's see if Billy Russo's going to be questioning it afterwards. If they get a first down here on this play, they'll certainly be praising Pelham for it. Throw it out into the flat. Holland not able to come down with it, incomplete. And quite frankly, even if she catches it, that's not going to be enough for a first down. That will bring up 4th and about 11 coming up here.
And Holland a little upset with herself as she thought she should have come down with it. So she didn't make the catch, but at least he liked the response, taking ownership that she should have had that. So
we indeed like that as the punt team is now out. Amelia Carr on to kick. And the always dangerous Walker dropping back to field this one. She's standing at the Reign 45 right now.
And that might be one reason why Everett has chosen to go for it on a couple of occasions as opposed to kicking the ball with Walker back there. So if she's scoring all her touchdowns, and they've played Tacoma before, so they know that she's a dangerous player.
Very true. We're going to get a timeout. We'll take a quick break here. We are watching Everett Reign Tacoma Trauma football on STSPN. Welcome back to Everett Memorial Stadium, third quarter. The Everett Reign continuing to lead the Tacoma Trauma 18-6. Reign ready to punt. Amelia Carr fields it on a bounce. Does a nice job just to get it off and takes a Reign hop at the end of the kick past midfield and is finally going to be down right about at the 48-yard line. Call that a 27-yard kick. If you're just tuning in, we've been having some issues with the scoreboard earlier, and scoreboard was finally fixed. However, the scoreboard operator is nowhere to be found, so not exactly sure how much time is left in the third quarter. Probably venture to guess to say around 5 minutes to go here. And either way, the Trauma with the football down by 12, taking over the possession at their own 48-yard line. Mike Buckholtz, you just returned. Where were you?
I went up and changed the scoreboard the third quarter, so I wish I was as good at that as.
I'm impressed with you. That's all I can say.
Oh, well, you didn't see me this morning. My wife was sending me texts madly about some of the technical issues that I was having during the game. We had a new tablet.
You were doing baseball games, did you point right?
I was doing a baseball game, and it was broadcasting, but the loudest thing was the crowd noise, and they couldn't hardly hear me, and we just couldn't get that thing adjusted. So there were a couple of steps that we had to.
Campbell hands off to Lynch, fumbles the football, and the Reign recover. Another turnover. We've had, 4 interceptions today and now 2 fumbles for the Trauma. This is going to be yet another turnover, and Lynch might have gotten banged up on the play as she's still down.
And, miscommunication there on the handoff as she never really got and or secured the football and then took a big hit.
Took a hit immediately, too. At least the good thing is she is moving. She's on all fours and now is on her feet. I'd like to see that.
It looked like maybe a helmet to the midsection there, and that relieves you of some of your wind. And nice to see her up walking off under her own power.
Own power and walking rather quickly, too. So that's definitely a positive sign. So we'll continue to keep an eye on her. I know they're going to want to get her back in there sooner rather than later. She's their main ball carrier. However, their offense is now off the field, and the Reign come back on. In great field position, too. 46-yard line of the Trauma.
Now, I do hope one of the officials is down there keeping the official time, because if they're counting on the official time up here, that's Well, they must, because they would have noticed it. Somebody on the sidelines got to be keeping track.
Well, and I think that's standard anyway. One of them always keeps time just for this very reason. So certainly they're doing that. Otherwise, we might be here a while. You're correct. Handoff goes to Siva. Siva getting ahead past the 40-yard line, down at the 39. Nice job by her as well as her offensive line, providing her with a hole to run through. But she also picked and chose her spots wisely there, shuffling those feet.
Yeah, she did. Found a good alley once she went up the middle and then cut it to the outside and picked up 5 or 6 more yards there. So
I'm really enjoying watching her run. The fact that she is a load is always a nice thing to have, but good footwork. She's got another gear. She can spin a little bit.
And as a wrestler, usually a lot of the wrestlers have a good understanding usually of, keeping their center of gravity low and using leverage and so on.
Making the Stanwood Spartan Nation proud. We're going to get a keeper here this time. Fumble the football, and coming away with it is the Trauma. It looked like a magic trick there. All of a sudden, she has the ball, and then she doesn't. It's number 23.
Phaedra Keaton.
Keaton, who I believe has a nickname here. Let's get our fun little sheet out here. She's Baby Legs. Baby Legs Keaton, a 5th-year player for the Trauma.
Well, Magic Baby Legs, as all of a sudden she's an illusionist going the other way with the football. We didn't really see what happened. Just picked Wilson.
Baby Legs and Magic Fingers, I guess, right? I did not even see that. All of a sudden, I see this gray jersey starting to sprint the other way, and I thought, what's going on here? And lo and behold, she had the football in her hand. And if you weren't watching earlier, we had a 5-play stretch earlier in which 5 consecutive plays in which there was a turnover. 3 from the Reign, 2 from the Trauma. I've never seen anything quite like that consecutively. 1 was on a punt return. The other 4 were offensive plays. And now we just had 2 and 3 plays there as the Trauma once again back on the offensive side of things. And guess who's back in? Short stack, Sierra Lynch getting to midfield. She's going to get shoved back, but not before forward progress gets her to the 50.
Nice job, though, of running to the ball by the Everett defense and stopping it. And, you haven't seen that before, but that's one of the things that makes it fun about coming to these events is that you see things that you haven't seen before in terms of watching sports. And I was watching high school baseball this whole season, and I have continuously seen things that I haven't seen before. Some of them mistakes, but some of them also marvelous plays at the high school level, and so it just makes it fun.
Without a doubt. 2nd and 8 coming up. I've got a question to ask you after this play. I want to see what your opinion is and see if we're aligned on this one. Is Guerrera under center right now, drops back to pass, throws it into the flat. Larson ready for that one. She wanted to step in front of that and go the other way. Incomplete. Is it just my imagination, or I did 2 of these games between these 2 teams last year. I think you were with me maybe on both of them, at least one.
Yes, no,
down
I was here on both.
So you and I did 2 Trauma Reign games last year. I feel as though both of these teams have improved.
Yes, I mean that was one of the things that I said, despite the turnovers. But by improve, we're talking about things that you might not necessarily notice, like footwork and staying low and blocking and tackling and stuff. And so on.
The fundamentals have gotten better, and a lot of it's the same players, just 1 year more experienced and better. As Guerrero this time is going to pitch it out to the left, finding space and finally getting dragged out of bounds by Nikki Pelham. That was number 12, Akeisha Doblin, on the play. It's going to bring up 4th down. But yeah, we watched these 2 teams last year, and to me, if you were to take the 2017 Everett Reign and clone them and play the 2018 Reign, I'd say the 2018 Reign's 14 points better maybe, and I think the same with the Trauma.
Right, well, and you look at that play that just happened. It was a good play all the way around. There was good blocking, good running, a nice pitch back, well-designed play, and good tackling, good pursuit, and a nice tackle. So the fundamentals and more of the players, I think, have acquired some of the fundamentals. 4th down
coming up here, 4th and about 4. Lynch needs to get to around the 42, stacked up at the 45, a late flag. So if this goes against, now 2 flags, if this goes against the Trauma, it will be Reign football as we wait to see what the call is. Tacoma Trauma coach is fired up right now. He almost considered running out onto the field there momentarily.
And in there on the defense, getting up, Jerry Valentine, number 72, from the bottom of the pile, along with number 52, Will Rody. And we have a penalty on Everett. So
looks like an unsportsmanlike of some sort. So we will the face mask. So that, in fact, gives them a first down on what would have been a turnover on downs. Keeping the Trauma in the game right now, late third quarter. The time being kept on the field, so we've got to be getting fairly close to the end here.
Of the third quarter.
Of the third quarter.
Yeah.
Trauma down by 12, and all of a sudden now driving as they get down to the Reign 30-yard line.
But generally with the, the running game, 30-yard line, that's good field position. But both teams just basically, 3 yards in a cloud of dust is basically kind of the philosophy here, to move up and down the field and hope that they break one.
And Katrina Guerrera back in at quarterback again. We haven't seen her play quarterback since the first half. And Tobin getting driven down by number 10, Siva, who initially put the hit on her, and then she gets a little help at the end of the play. And Larson also coming in on the play, number 37.
I actually thought it was Dobin on the carry before as well. I'm not sure that it was Lynch, so I thought it was her. And
12 and 13, you might be right. Although I say 12 and 13, similar numbers, definitely not similar body types. But in fact, I think you are in fact correct. That was Dobin in there. Second down, and we're going to call it around 13 right now. 12. It's at the 32-yard line. The drive, once they got the personal foul, was at the 30. So we'll see what Guerrera can do now. Now we've got Lynch and Dobin in together. Lynch playing the fullback position, Dobin directly behind her. Watch for Walker, lined up out to the right side. They like to go to her a lot. Backwards pass, ball is on the ground. It is a live football, nobody thinking to pick it up. Still a scramble for it. Who gets it? Across the field from us, so we're having trouble seeing this one. It looks as though that the Trauma gets it back. That's a dangerous play. I knew right away that as soon as you saw the arm go in motion, it was a good 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. None of the players out there, though, to the flat area recognizing it.
And that was Dobin that let it go, and the lady who jumped on it was Mattel Walker. And I was kind of wondering if maybe there was going to be an injury there, although it looks like perhaps a leg cramp, because she extended her arm full length when she was on the ground to get the ball, and then there was a pile on top. So Walker definitely shaken up on the play in that pile up.
And trying to look through the binoculars here to see if, in fact, they're treating her for a cramp or maybe an injury. It's hard to tell right here. They've got everybody with their backs to us and blocking it off. But nonetheless, I'd say, they're calling for some water, so that, in fact, probably is a cramp of some sort there. Again, we've said it a few different times during this broadcast. Walker really is their premier threat on offense, certainly with 4 of the team's 5 touchdowns on the season. Had all 4 of them coming into the game. Earlier tonight, the only touchdown they've scored so far was from Kari Fetters.
And she's coming off of her own speed, and she's hobbling. And I do have a question that I've noticed that in regular tackle football, they don't use the magic spray like they do in soccer. So I'm going to have to, my daughter's a trainer, I'm going to have to ask her about that.
Yeah, that's above my payroll, so I'm not sure. Yeah, that's a good question, though. So 3rd and 11 coming. They actually gained yardage on that play, by the way. The ball bounced and then thrown forward, bounced, thrown backwards, bounced forward. Perhaps that's the play they should try more often. 3rd and 11 coming up. Pitching it to Dobin. Sweep out to the right, cuts it back in. Still fighting forward right around the 25-yard line. The way that her head kind of went flying backwards there initially, I thought maybe a flag was going to be thrown. Again, we're at the opposite side of the field, but looked as though she might have even had a face mask. Perhaps it was just a collar tackle, but nonetheless, she gets down to the 25-yard line, and this is going to be interesting. We're now looking at a 4th and 5 coming up here.
I was thinking the same thing, and obviously the officials did not see a face mask, so we'll have to go with option 2, which is a neck tackle.
And usually if it is a face mask like that, that magnitude, you'd see a lot of people trying to put forth the argument. I didn't see any of that either, so maybe it was just the illusion and the angle from where we're standing at here. But nonetheless, they get a 6-yard gain and make it a little more interesting here. 4th and 5 coming up. Late third quarter. Trauma down by 12. Trying to get back in this game. Dobin looked as though she was going to have the space, and Larson came flying out of nowhere. Makes the tackle. She gets tackled 2 yards short of the first down. And we get a little bit of a scrum going here as the referee's now trying to bring everybody back. And I don't know if you saw what happened there or not, Mike, but it looked as though maybe a couple players were lobbying the referees for something there.
They were lobbying for a big hit.
Well, they got that.
And I saw Larson do that numerous times against the Portland team as playing that linebacker position. She gets the angle and comes across.
That was just open field, too, and that was an open field that saved a first down. Dobin momentarily looked like she was easily going to cross the 20-yard line, which is where she needed to be.
And here comes Dobin here, and she's definitely shaken up as she got basically rustled to the turf there.
And I just keep feeling as though this is the longest quarter I've ever broadcasted here, so we're still waiting to hear the whistle. Clock is not, I keep wanting to say it's not working. It's working, we just don't have an operator up there. So we really don't know how much time is left, but it's got to be getting very close to the end of the third quarter as the run up the middle picks up a couple yards there.
And we did have an operator for a while, but like I said there, I mean, what he came down and told us that on the board.
Nope. And guess what? I think we just found the breaking point.
He found he had things correct on the board, but there was something interfering with the connection between the board and the signal, and we were watching the clock flash off and on, and I think I mentioned at the time hieroglyphics, but things were showing correctly on the board, and so he didn't quite know what to do, and frustration set in. And I think he went to try to find somebody to.
Frustration setting in with the operator. Frustration setting in with the two offenses. We get a scoreless third quarter. We head to the fourth. It is 18-6. You are watching WFA football on STSPN. For fourth quarter action here from Everett Memorial Stadium. The Everett Reign holding on to the 18-6 lead over the Tacoma Trauma. Reign looking to go 4-1 on the year. Switching sides of the field now. The Reign will be heading towards the south. Wilson momentarily fumbles the snap, picks it up and is able to hand it off. We're going to get a 1-yard loss on the play, which will bring up 3rd and 7. Mike Buckholtz once again continuing with his double duty here as color commentator / scoreboard operator. He went upstairs to change the quarter number from 3 to 4 on the board. Well done, Mike.
Thanks very much. Both teams still have 3 timeouts, I see. I'm not going to go up there every time they take a timeout, though.
Boy, that'd be something to watch, though, wouldn't it? For me, anyway. I don't know if you'd enjoy it very much, but.
Well, I do need the exercise.
Well, I'm going to do the unofficial time on the wristwatch here now. So I did start that, in fact. So we'll see if we can keep track of that. Second play coming up of the quarter, 3rd and 8. Blitz coming, wrapping up Wilson from behind. Ball gets fumbled, still bouncing around inside the 10-yard line. Picked up on the fly and scoring is the Tacoma Trauma. 8-yard fumble recovery, and it looks like that was either Simone Wright or Teresa Coleman. Let's see if we can get the number there. The 8s and the 6s look very similar from here. And, in fact, that is number 26 on the recovery, Simone Wright getting the touchdown.
Well, I was just up there, so I guess I'll head back and add the 6, and I'll watch and see on the extra point here, huh?
So we'll see what happens there. Wright gets the touchdown, but one of the other players, I believe, was it Bush Johnson, number 52? I didn't get a chance to look at the number, but one of those players just shot the gap there and hit Wilson from behind, forcing that fumble. Wilson started to roll out to her right, was dragged down from behind, coughed up the football. It bounced around a couple different times, and Wright just happened to get it on a very nice bounce right into her hands at the 8-yard line and didn't have far to go after that. Second defensive touchdown of the game as each team now has one. Amelia Carr coming up with a 60-yard interception return back in the first quarter of play. 18-12 score. Trauma one more time going for 2. Katrina Guerrera staying in at quarterback. We've seen Guerrera as well as Brittany Campbell switching off and on tonight. Campbell now lined up in the slot off to the right, hands it off to Lynch. Lynch looking to go forward, right up around the goal line. She appears to be short. We await the official call, and in fact, that is the case. So the Everett Reign 12-point lead going into the fourth quarter has been cut in half. It is now 18-12 with about 14 minutes to go here in the game. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get to the rest of this action. You don't want to go anywhere. This game just got a lot more interesting. You're watching WFA football on STSPN. Simone Wright's 8-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown has made this an 18-12 game. The Tacoma Trauma still trailing the Reign, but they have momentum now as they will get ready to kick off to the home team. And once again, at number 42, the sometimes quarterback, sometimes defensive end, Brittany Campbell, lined up at the 30-yard line, or 35-yard line rather, ready to make the kick. Mike Buckholtz back here from changing the scoreboard. Nicely done.
Record-setting sprint.
Mike, of all people right now, hoping for a scoreless fourth quarter from here on out, right?
No, I'm okay. Like I said, I need the exercise, and I want to at least have a semblance of some accuracy up there. So
I'm sure the people appreciate that. Campbell, hand in the air. Looks over. Here comes the boot. Momentarily dropped and picked right back up again at the 25-yard line. Still on her feet, past the 50. One player to beat, and it's Campbell. And she is going to go all the way. It's Ashley Simmons for the touchdown.
And I want to thank the Everett Reign for helping me out with my exercise program as I can go back up. Nice return there. Broke through the right side. Good blocking.
Ashley Simmons, good blocking and great running. Showing a little speed there, too. For a moment there, was waiting for her to try to cut back on Campbell, thinking that Campbell had the angle, but no, Simmons just putting on the jets and flying down the field, 75 yards. That's how you answer an 8-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown, and that's how you get Mike Buckholtz another trip up the stairs as he heads up to change the scoreboard one more time. We were just saying as we went to break at the end of the third quarter that we didn't have any offense and no scoring, and about a minute 20 here into the fourth period, both teams on the board. And once again, the Reign will elect to go for the extra, or go for two. We've had 6 touchdowns tonight combined from these teams. We've yet to see any extra points after a touchdown. One PAT attempt, which was blocked. The other 4 occasions we've had both teams elect to go for two, and neither have been able to get it. And that will hold true this time as well, as the pass over the middle is knocked down, incomplete. And we've got a 24-12 Everett game thanks to the 75-yard kickoff return by Ashley Simmons. We'll take another break. You are watching WFA football on STSPN.
I'm back.
And we are back on the air as soon as Mike Buckholtz. Good timing. He changes the scoreboard, and we're ready to play 2 touchdowns in about a minute 20, one for each team. And Alyssa Simmons' 75-yard kickoff return is answered by a much shorter return by Kari Fetters. She gets out to the 36-yard line.
And Fetters did a good job of running that thing back, as that could have went a lot further, and she tracked that down, turned it right back up the field for a decent gain.
Yeah, hers was the degree of difficulty a little bit more so than Simmons, who was able to catch hers on the fly and then keep running, and run she did.
But I will say neither of their runs were the degree of difficulty that I've been having going up and down the stairs here. So.
And the old wooden stairs here at Everett Memorial at that, right?
Yeah, it is like an elaborate treehouse.
So again, I'm trying to do a little bit of timekeeping on my watch. As we've mentioned earlier, we don't have a scoreboard operator right now, so Mike Buckholtz, who is doing color commentator right here, is running to change the scoreboard every time there is a score, but not doing so with yardage or time. So we're trying to keep that here, and my best estimate right now is that there's about 13 minutes left to go here in the game.
And we're having a good time, so that's what
great
counts.
Time. Guerrera back to pass one more time out into the flat, finds Campbell at the 39. Campbell bowls over a couple of defenders before finally getting dragged down at the 44.
And Nikki Pelham, playing on the inside slot there, thought that maybe there was going to be a run and got caught taking a step one direction in, and that has been what Tacoma has done to try to draw the linebackers in a little bit to open up those passes out in the flat.
I feel like we need to play Brittany Campbell bingo, where you get to cross off something every time she does a different. She's kicked off tonight. She's punted. She's played quarterback. Catches a pass there. We've seen her on defense make plays.
She's done everything but put the score up on the scoreboard.
She hasn't done that yet. Perhaps we'll see her, I don't know, carrying the water out next time or doing something extra. She seems to do a little bit of everything for this team. As does Dobin. She finds a seam, gets ahead to the 44-yard line of the Reign.
Did you see that step she took to the right and the crossover back and the acceleration? That was a nice play there.
Froze the defense on that play.
Yeah, getting to the second level. Good tackle, though, coming up from the safety position. Was that Nikki Pelham over there?
Might have been. That was a 12-yard gain, so they moved the chains on the play. Yeah, Todd Elvick pointed out that the tackling for both teams remarkably better than it was last year. Even I like the flow of the offenses a little more. I think we watched the one game last year down in Tacoma. Final score was 7-6, and the 7 was a defensive touchdown. I just feels like the game is flowing a little bit better right now. And
yeah, I think that was Shankman on the last tackle there in the second level, and now it's Lynch with the run.
Yeah, Lynch with a spin move there to get off of a group of tacklers and across the 40-yard line. We'll put her at the 39, a gain of 5.
Both teams playing a similar style of game here, actually, in terms of what they're doing offensively. A little more passing look by Tacoma, but that passing has also led to a couple of big plays by Everett, so it's been a double-edged sword for the Trauma in terms of the passing.
Yeah, it's live by the sword, died by the sword. You've had, 5 interceptions so far tonight for the Trauma, but when it works, it's looking good at times. And certainly when Campbell was in there, she was picking up some momentum. Guerrera, at times, her passes look better than others, and she's found a little bit of a groove there with Dobin out in the flat, so we'll see if maybe they go back to that at some point. I set right now, 2nd and 5 coming up. I think everybody froze there momentarily as it looked like he had a little bit of a head start by one of the offensive players from the Trauma, and then a Dobin run where she gets popped in the face on her face mask. No flag for that. We do have a couple of pieces of laundry out on the field there, so we'll see what the calls are here.
Well, maybe the official that had the best view of that had already thrown his flag, so it seems like they throw something else. Don't they have a little beanbag
I
if they
would have
see?
thought so.
And
an illegal shift from the Trauma.
Yes, that was.
We might get another call here in a minute. He's still talking to the other guys.
Well, doesn't that eliminate the play on the illegal shift? Doesn't that stop the play?
It should. I was, you know what? Quite frankly, when Guerrera dropped back there initially, I don't know if you noticed, she paused momentarily. I think she was waiting for a whistle. She recognized that I think it was Kira Carson from her right tackle position started to shoot towards the defender just a smidge early before the snap. We'll see what the call is here.
Illegal shift, and it's going to repeat the down.
So a 2nd and 10 coming up from the 44-yard line.
And I just heard the coordinator was talking upstairs, and I went by and had a word with the Tacoma coordinators upstairs. I said, how's it going? They said, we're really frustrated. And I heard the coach down here say, yeah, they didn't run the play at all. So.
I think they ran the play this time. It just doesn't work. Nice job of clogging up the hole. Jerry Valentine, we haven't had a chance to call her name yet. A graduate of Mariner High School, not too far from here, just a couple miles to the south, and she comes in and makes a big stuff on the play.
Bulldogged the runner back, and they gave her
forward progress back to the line of scrimmage, yeah.
Because she was thrown down back around the 50-yard line with Valentine was not got a hold of her and was not going to let go.
Yeah, great job by Valentine there to plug the hole and bring up a 3rd and long.
And I mentioned in pregame that the defensive front for Everett playing pretty strong.
Yeah.
Now the defensive front for Portland was actually bigger and stronger as well, and it did wear Everett down, and Everett had created some turnovers and fumbles and stuff and so on, but I like what I'm seeing tonight from the Everett front defensive line.
Yeah, it's a Portland team that tends to be fairly tough. Guerrera dropping back to pass, right side looking for Walker, tipped away by Carr. Nicely done. Walker being double teamed, and Amelia able to get her hands on that football and knock it away. Should point out, speaking of Portland, they'll be up here next week, a week from tonight, playing the Everett Reign.
And Brett
chance for some redemption there.
Brett Flickinger was the other defender back on that double team, so well defended. And I also noticed that some of the players not putting pressure on. I don't want to say they took the play off, but maybe some fatigue setting in on some of the defensive linemen for the Everett Reign, as well as I haven't seen much rotation.
4th and 10 coming up. Campbell out to punt. Carr thought about it momentarily. The ball bounces in the middle of the field, and nicely done by Campbell as it continues to roll. They're going to stop it right on about the 3-inch line. Nice job by Walker. We'll keep it here for a moment. We think there's about 8 or 9 minutes left in the game as the score clock still showing 15, but I want to get back to the fact that Portland is in fact in town next week over at Goddard Stadium. 7 o'clock start, is that correct, Todd Elvick? We're looking over at Todd. 6 o'clock start. So if folks haven't had a chance to yet, they need to get out to one of these games. These are a lot of fun. These ladies are putting a lot of heart and soul into it. We mentioned earlier, both teams seem to be playing better. We know that Portland's got a really strong squad, as they showed that unfortunately earlier this year against both of these teams that we're watching right now, as Tacoma has already lost to Portland twice this year. Everett once, but a game that, as you called a couple weeks ago, a game that Everett won 20-7, but Everett went into the 4th quarter, I believe, with the lead. Is that correct, Mike?
Well, Everett lost that game, and they did go into the lead in the 4th quarter and wore down. And Portland has a 250-pound fullback, and she runs well. She runs over people, but has quick feet as well. And I don't know if I made the comment that she ran better than one of the Seahawk running backs last year, who's no longer with the team.
And we're going to get a safety as Shania Holland took the direct snap as she does a fly sweep from left to right. Safety is called, and that means Mike's got to go change the scoreboard again. We get a little dance move there from one of the Trauma players, number 5, Sarah Montjoy, and that makes it a 24-14 game, and it also means Everett's going to be kicking off to Tacoma.
Well, Amelia Carr having trouble with those punt returns back there, as that one rolled again for about 20 yards, and you said down to about the 3-inch line. She had an opportunity maybe to get on that and pick it up and carry it, and she just let it roll. So she's had kind of, again, getting caught in between. Do I catch it or do I let it roll? And
the one where she let it bounce earlier, I remember you making that reference, and you were absolutely right. It was kind of one of those plays where she had to run up to make a decision. This time, however, the ball bounced to her right. I was almost a little confused as to whether or not she was
even saw it.
If she even saw it, because she started to make a move towards it and then kind of pulled back as though, I'm not sure I know exactly the trajectory of this ball or where it's at, and perhaps she was trying to play it a little conservatively. So a little bit different situation, but you're right. In both occasions, the Trauma getting a very nice roll on the ball, and this time it ends up ultimately costing the Reign 2 points and also cost them the football, as the Trauma are going to get it back here with, again, we think around 8 minutes to go in the game.
And I'm taking a whiff off the oxygen tank here as I'm going to get ready to run back up.
Somebody did it for you, so we've got the scoreboard magically changed. So
all right.
I think you've been relieved of your scoreboard duties tonight.
Well, thank you very much. And look at this kick over the head And
Walker finally goes back to retrieve it around the 16, starts to cut it out towards the left, being chased by Larson, Holland, and a few others, gets to the sideline and is finally shoved out, but not before she gets all the way ahead to the 37-yard line. We're going to give her a 21-yard return on the punt, and that exactly right there is what Walker can do for you.
so somebody else is back on the clock. There goes my bonus check.
Yeah. I think it's probably going to be about the same as it was before anyway, but maybe they'll add another 0 or 2 to it, but nonetheless. So again, we think there's around 8 minutes to go. 10-point game. Trauma with the football. Could make things interesting here if they can put together a quick drive. And
It could, because it's a 2-possession game right now. So if they're able to break one, and once again, that fatigue factor, because Everett's back on defense now, and I was mentioning that some of the defensive linemen were showing some wear and tear here.
so perhaps do we see another play to number 3, Walker? 4 touchdowns on the year already.
Well,
Could we
again,
maybe
they've
see
only
number
tried to get her to the ball by way of the pass.
And we get another handoff as Dobin takes it forward. Nice job to pick up around 5 yards on the play.
I believe that was number 21, Nikki Pelham, in there on that tackle, coming up from her linebacker position.
Seem to be calling that name a lot tonight on defense. Pelham doing a nice job of filling those gaps and making tackles tonight.
Yeah,
Not exactly the biggest player out there either, I might add.
No, and I think she's moved inside. I think she mostly played a little bit of outside linebacker, but Casey Cornish not available tonight, so Pelham doing a good job of filling that middle gap spot.
She's listed at 5 foot 134. Run up the middle, power run at that. Past the 45-yard line, down around the 47. As the pile gets cleared, that's Sierra short stack Lynch getting another carry. Not quite to the first down marker, but very close. We'll give her about a third and a yard to go.
Yeah, Lynch shaken up a little bit earlier in the game, but also dishing it out as well as taking some punishment.
That's her style right there. Defense chance going right now. They're definitely grinding it out. I don't know if they have a lot of time to grind it out. We're thinking there's around 6.5 minutes to go or so right now.
Well, part of that is that if they try to break one here, keep pounding away and see if they can break one. Look at all the players up in the box here.
Dobin getting outside, lunges ahead for a first down, diving towards the 50-yard line, gets around the 48, and the chains will in fact move. First down for the Trauma.
Nikki Pelham once again with the shoestring tackle. As that runner went by, she reached out and tripped her up, fell forward for some yardage, but Pelham again reading that play well.
Having herself a game right now. Clock continuing to run here. Guerrera has her players back in the huddle. Let's see what they're going to dial up right here. Again, we're playing a guessing game with the clock, which is being kept on the field. We think around 6 minutes to go right now.
Let's see if the flanker around is due here soon. Instead, it's up. Fullback, look at that.
Yeah, fullback doing a nice job getting another first down and a few extra yards on top of that as number 5, Sarah Montjoy, gets the carry.
And
second of the
Amelia
game.
Carr has to come up from the safety position to make that tackle. So getting to that next level and another first down, and you get the sense that Everett is wearing down here a little bit.
I think absolutely. They've been on the field more often than not tonight, and
that safety kept them on the field too. So offense needs to come back out on the field. They need to stop, or perhaps more importantly, a turnover.
Or just have Alyssa Simmons have another 75-yard kickoff return for a touchdown and put a nail in the coffin. That's another thing that has kept the defense out on the field a little longer than usual.
That's also true.
You like those 75-yard touchdowns, but you don't give your defense much time to rest. Handoff goes to Dobin up the middle, spins off of a tackler, is grabbed by a few others, one of which, again, is Nikki Pelham.
And Amelia Carr joining in and getting up off the bottom of the pile.
Stephanie Howard as well, number 40, as they get down to the 31.
So good job of moving to the ball, and we got a timeout by Everett.
Timeout by Everett, around 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes maybe to go in the game. Tacoma taking the timeout, or Tacoma on the drive. Everett with the timeout. You're watching WFA football on STSPN. Welcome back from Everett Memorial Stadium. Steve Willits, Mike Buckholtz, Todd Elvick. We were just updated a moment ago that there's, in fact, 6:16 left in the game. Tacoma trailing by 10, but they are on the move right now. 2nd and 3 coming up from the Reign 31-yard line. Katrina Guerrero back under center. Hand off to Montjoy. Montjoy with the first down and then some inside the 20 or right at the 20 as she is tackled after an 11-yard gain. And once again, Mike, the chains continue to move.
Amelia Carr having to come up again from that safety position, and from the far linebacker spot, Forrest Larson also helping on that tackle, but contact defensively being made well into the secondary.
So right at that red zone mark, Tacoma down by 2 scores. Plenty of time left right now. They've struggled at times when they've driven into Reign territory. Again, the number of turnovers tonight. Unofficially, we have them at 7. 5 interceptions, 2 fumbles. Guerrero throwing 4 of those interceptions in the first half.
And to still be in the game after that many interceptions, that's quite an achievement there.
The Reign able to shut the Trauma out earlier this year. Now the Trauma looking to give them a scare into the end zone, into coverage, incomplete. Intending that ball for Kari Fetters, who already has 1 touchdown on the night.
And almost with the interception back there in the pink shoes. That's the identifying factor as is a ways away.
That's Keaton, I think, right?
Trying to see that number over there. As we got the dark numbers in the dark jerseys, that's quite difficult to see.
They're not that easy to read, that's for sure. We've noticed that.
Is that Sarah Cooper, number 22?
I was thinking it might have even been number 23 earlier, who was, or 33 rather, who was Johnson. Well, whoever it was, nice play, and nonetheless, here we go again. About 5:15 to go here in the 4th quarter. Drag down from behind. That was almost a horse collar tackle.
And
doesn't count if they don't call it, though.
The coach from Tacoma agrees with that. Now we've got an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on the Tacoma coach for complaining. That's going to be a 15-yard penalty.
Wow.
And I think there's a way at this point, and being a highly emotional basketball coach, you see those situations. You can complain, but you have to do it in such a factor where you're not going to be penalized for it.
Yeah, and to do so with the ball on the 14-yard line is you really, really need these points, and you need them quickly, too. It's not just a matter of scoring. It's a matter of scoring in a quick manner, as we're now right around the 5-minute mark.
Well, now he threw the flag, so what is the and the ball's still on the 14-yard line, so –
interesting. Okay, the flag was thrown. They motioned one way. They're going to keep it at the 14. Looking like we've got about a 3rd and 4 coming up.
Gave him a mulligan on that.
I guess so.
I guess.
Maybe not a bad no call, either of those. Dobin gets the handoff, takes it ahead for maybe a yard. All of a sudden, you got a 4th and 3. You're down by 10.
Number 96 for Everett doing a great job in there, Shane Matson.
And we've got the clock. I've got it unofficially right around the 4:23 mark right now. Todd Elvick's also trying to keep a clock there. There we go. So we're off by a few seconds with one another. So we'll see if clock is definitely running right now. And Tacoma needs a big play here. If they don't get this one and they turn it over to the Reign with under 4 minutes to go in a 2-possession game,
I'm glad you guys are keeping track. I'm a child of the 60s. I'm not into time. So.
Well, they keep it in this game of football, so we don't have much of a choice, right?
Okay.
Back in the old days when we played in the playground, first 1 to 30 wins. They don't do that here.
Yeah, well, we didn't even do that. It was the first one that got called home that end of the game.
Heard that many times too. Dobin looking for that first down marker and maybe even more inside the 5, inside the end zone, and touchdown Trauma. Akeisha Dobin making this a very interesting game all of a sudden. Roughly 3.5 minutes to go, give or take, and all of a sudden we've got a 1-possession game.
The other factor now is they got a decision coming up. Would you go ahead and onside kick this one, because their defense has been doing a good job and doesn't really – I mean, you might as well take the chance. So
defense has been doing a good job, and the offenses have occasionally been shooting themselves in the foot. Maybe I put that pressure and the onus on the Reign if I can, in fact, put them back. However, we've also noticed that the kick coverage team hasn't been all that strong. Last time giving up a touchdown, so maybe that factors into that decision as well. first things first, they're going to try to go for 2 here. It is a 24-20 game. And the Trauma will see if they can make this a 2-point game here right now. Dobin at the halfback position. Lynch at the fullback. The pitch to Dobin. She goes to the right, cuts it back towards the middle. Siva tries to grab her down from behind and finally pushed down.
And Dobin is upset. She actually took a couple of swings in there that kind of went by the wayside. I'm not sure the referees saw that as she started kind of thrashing around, unhappy with what was being done in there on the tackle. So
didn't see how she was brought down, but it looked a little unorthodox. I'm wondering if she maybe thought that there was a horse collar or a face mask perhaps, as she was kind of flung to the ground awkwardly. But nonetheless, it is 24-20 with about 3.5 minutes to go. We're going to take a quick break. You don't want to go anywhere, though. An exciting finish coming up right here on STSPN. Welcome back to Everett Memorial Stadium. The Tacoma Trauma getting a touchdown there to make this a 24-20 game. Thanks to Akeisha Dobin's run around the left side, and all of a sudden, we've got ourselves a 4-point ball game with around 3.5 minutes to go. Scoreboard operator still absent, so we don't exactly have the precise time here, but we think it's around the 3:30 to 3:45 mark, and perhaps this is where the Trauma might want to consider an onside kick. We're about to find out. Campbell's going to pooch it down around the 36-yard line. It bounces, fielded on a hop. Nora Shankman comes away with it, tries to cut back the field towards the middle, and is dragged down at around the 41-yard line, which is where the Reign will take over the football right now. We're trying to see if last time we had one of the referees, I think it was the head ref, David Sather, who came over to the Tacoma bench, which is directly below us, to give them a time update. We haven't seen one of those in a while. But we, again, think it's around the 3:30 mark. The Everett Reign need to sustain some sort of a drive and really do not want to give the Trauma the ball back any too quickly and give them a chance to come down and potentially win this game.
How about the picking up of that flag that looked like it was going to be an unsportsmanlike penalty call?
Good point, yeah.
And picked it up, did not assess the penalty, and scored a couple of plays later.
And I want to ask you about that in a minute here, because you've played various roles at the high school level as an athletic director, as a coach, and a few different things here. As Holland's going to take a snap here from, actually it was snapped to the Wilson, who then hands it off to Holland. A sweep, does not get any yardage, but does take some time off the clock. Personally, Mike, I don't want to see a game decided on an unsportsmanlike from the bench. I know that the players and the coaches still have to abide by rules, but really, unless it's just something completely egregious, I don't really want to see a 15-yarder there. I don't know what your opinion is on that. Or
well, no, I would agree with you in terms of you don't want to see it decided in that factor, especially if there is a rule and you have a legitimate complaint. But
factoring that in, we don't know exactly what was said. I mean, certainly there are certain words that you can't step over a particular line. As Siva's going to take the ball around the right side, first down and more. Staying in bounds too, which is crucial right now. She finally is brought down at the 42-yard line, a gain of 17 on the play, and more importantly, a first down.
And the clock still runs. It stops on the first down, but she didn't go out of bounds, and will, as soon as they set the ball, it'll start again. And nice drive and got nice blocking. So this has been a fun game both ways. Been impressed with Tacoma's improvement, and also watching the Everett Reign putting some points up on the board tonight, doing a good job primarily defensively, but also enough on the offensive end.
And this is the third time this year out of four games that the Reign have scored 20 or more points. So certainly a lot of improvements on the offensive side. And as you mentioned, the defense sets a lot of that up, but nonetheless, the offense still getting it done as well as Pelham dives forward. Depending on which clock you're looking at right now, we're right around the 2-minute mark, give or take.
Makisha Bush-Johnson in there to trip up. Did you say that was Pelham on the run? Yeah, to trip Pelham up. She fell forward for positive yardage, but Bush-Johnson was in there quickly.
Bush-Johnson's a player that I've really come to respect over the last couple of years. Makes a lot of key plays and playing hard here at the end of the game as well, trying to give her team a chance. We think we're around the 2-minute mark, give or take. And we'll take a quick break here. We're going to come back and get you to the conclusion of this game, see if the Everett Reign can make it victory number 4 on the year. You are watching WFA football on STSPN. Timeout is over. The players are back on the field, and we are ready for action. The Everett Reign holding on to that 10-point lead. Second down and around 8.
4-point lead.
Or 4-point lead, rather. They wish it was a bigger lead right now, and fortunately for them, they do have the football, and they're going to keep the clock running. Nice job by Kira Carson to break through in the backfield and force the loss, but the clock nonetheless continues to run as the Reign looking for that 4th victory of the year.
Boy, forward progress from where the tackle ended up was definitely a ways up there.
It's happened a few times tonight.
Yeah.
I think the referees are being very giving on those plays tonight. Maybe it's a Mother's Day thing, Mother's Day weekend there.
3rd and long, though, problem for the Reign. Look at all the people in the box defensively.
And they're going to try to throw the screen pass, and that was dangerous there. North Shankman coming in. I think the intent was to maybe try to get something going and do it in a short fashion to keep the clock going and get a completion. They didn't do it, though. And now the clock stops with a 4th down coming up again. The time is being kept on the field, so we don't even know exactly how much time is left, but we know that the Trauma is about to get the ball back again on 4th and 10.
Let's see. I don't see Amelia Carr in the game. She's usually been doing the punting duties.
Carr, in fact, is in the game.
Oh, she is in the game.
So
okay.
We'll see.
She's been doing the punting duties here. So
I'll tell you what. If I'm Tacoma and I've got a superstar player like
you don't want to punt it to her.
Walker, I mean, I'd love to get my hands have the ball in their hands right now. I think they're going to go for it though.
Yeah. I don't know if they want to punt it to Walker and let her see if she can make a play.
Do a quick kick of some sort. No, Wilson's going to look to pass it. Slant play,
Tipped
and that
away.
ball was tipped away. Number 26, Simone Wright, who already has a touchdown defensively in this half. And now we're going to get a turnover. The Trauma with the football down by 4. And I keep hoping that one of the referees will come over and shout out a time for us. So let's see if we can.
Well, it wasn't all that long ago that the score was 24-12, and it looked like Everett had this game well in hand.
Never did hear. I did finally hear them say that they have 1 timeout left, but still didn't get a time there. We think it's around a minute to go or under a minute to go even at that. They are 58 yards away from potentially winning this football game, down by 4. And they're going to go with a handoff. They do have the timeout remaining. Lynch putting her shoulder down, getting ahead for a few extra yards, but not much, and she's going to get ahead to the 47, maybe the 48-yard line.
Difficult to try to run, anything that's too elaborate and, to get something. I don't want to say necessarily a trick play, but if you have a good play that you run, you've probably already ran it during the course of the game.
I'm surprised they're huddling right now. I thought maybe they'd have 2 plays called and just boom, boom right away. But nonetheless, obviously we're a little bit off on our time. I think if there was under a minute to go, which is what we thought there was to start this drive, they wouldn't be doing that. But the time is definitely getting down to a low figure at this point. They're looking to pass this time out into the flat. Getting the completion at the 45-yard line down to the 44. That's number 16 making the play.
Forrest Larson on the coverage and the tackle.
Millie Rich on the catch.
A clock still running, though.
Oh, they did stop it momentarily to move the chains.
Yeah.
Again, we know that there's one timeout remaining for Tacoma. They just said 45 and counting, I believe, is what I heard from the referee.
Well, then you were correct that they were huddling up. I mean, 45 seconds, and you're huddling up here. Obviously, they have not practiced that 2-minute drill then.
We're going to get a fantastic finish here. 44-yard line. They're going to go with yet another handoff and brought down immediately right around the line of scrimmage.
That plays right into Everett's hands. Nice
Dobin
play.
on the carry. And we are going to get that timeout now. Right around 25 seconds to go here.
I believe that was Brandy Wright in there on making that tackle. And that's a big tackle right there.
Try to keep it here. I'm taking one taking one of my my ear pads out here to try to hear the referees just in case to see if we can get an actual time, but we think it's right around the 20 to 25 second mark. And I've got to think that the fans up in the stands it's probably just driving them nuts right now. And we've got a little bit of an advantage. We're trying to keep it here on our clocks here unofficially, but we're also able to hear the referees from time to time. I'm thinking the fan base that's sitting here watching this game has no clue, knowing that obviously that the time is dwindling away and it's going down quickly, but to know that we might be within the last 2 or 3 plays of this game right now in a 4-point game doesn't get much more exciting than this. We hear the defense chant coming from the Reign fans and the bench.
Well, this has got to be a pass attempt, and they got a one-on-one down here in this situation.
Well, you just
there.
used your last time out. You kind of have to pass. Now Guerrero looking to throw deep, throws a duck. It's intercepted by Amelia Carr. If she can hold on to this football, the game is over. Breaks a tackle. Finally goes out of bounds at the 49-yard line. All the Reign have to do now is snap the ball, take a knee, and they are victorious. But what a wild finish we had here tonight.
And Mattel Walker still sitting down, very, very unhappy with that turn of events. And Amelia Carr actually fighting for extra yardage there. And generally speaking, you see the experience factor when you make that play and you catch it, you get down and just hold on to the ball because it is the ball that is important. But still, Amelia Carr, how many interceptions is that for her today? I was just going to say that's
3 tonight for her.
So she's got the hat trick on interceptions, and she scored
on the first one, the 60-yard return early in the game there, yeah. So I think that might be her second hat trick of the year. I'm not positive on that, but we were looking at numbers earlier. But nonetheless, Amelia Carr playing center field very well and might have just clinched this game for the Reign. It looks as though they did. They've just got to hold onto that ball in the snap now, and that has not been easy at times. We've seen snaps go astray tonight, so we'll see if they can in fact.
And I did a lot of high school football this year, and I've seen this kind of situation, and something goes awry, and several times in big games with good football teams. So
we will await to see what happens here. Again, we want to remind everybody next week, same time, same day of the week, next Saturday, your Everett Reign will be taking on Portland, Fighting Shockwave. They will be coming up and looking to get a second victory over the hometown team of the season. That game will be taking place at Goddard Stadium over at Mariner High School in Mukilteo. We certainly would love to see folks out there, but if not, watch us online. We'll be back on the air again as Wilson fields the snap cleanly, takes a knee, and that should do it. The Everett Reign are victorious. Much closer game than perhaps a lot of folks were thinking after an earlier shutout victory over the Trauma earlier this season. This time, however, a different story, a 24-20 fight up until the very end, and Mike, an exciting game for us to call.
Yeah, and once again, although the Everett offense was passable tonight and doing a pretty good job, running game looking good, it was the defense that stepped up and created a numerous amount of turnovers, and that was very much a difference in the game.
Yeah, very much so. The score on defense, they had short fields to work with at times because of turnovers, and because of that, they are 4-1 on the season. We need to get out of here, right? So we're going to sign off right now. Mike, always fun to work with you.
It was a great time again, as usual. We have a good time together. So
we do indeed. And we have fun with this guy, too, Todd Elvick, who makes it all happen. So, Todd, great job tonight. Again, the final score, the Everett Reign defeating the Tacoma Trauma 24-20. You've been watching STSPN.com. Have a great night.